Has the headphones each day. Whoa.
Hello.
That's the first thing you forget when you're gone for a little while. It is the program.
By the way, December 17th.
Last time all three of us were here?
Last time all three of us were in this room. That's crazy.
Well, that's the holidays. No. That's what always happens.
Because I was off that week. So it would have been December 10th?
Okay, that sounds about right. Because you were off.
15th.
And then he was off for a couple of days.
Yeah, he was off
and then
Monday and Tuesday.
He being Kyle.
Kyle.
And
then you were off the Wednesday.
It's not a quest for cheesy poofs.
Yeah, so December 10th. It's been 5 days shy of a month since we've been in the same room together.
Yeah.
I had 2 remotes the week of that, so.
Oh, that's right. Because,
wow.
You were
out Thursday and Friday.
Holy cow.
So it was.
Band's all back together.
It's almost.
See if we can find the notes, boys.
We've been 4 weeks on Wednesday.
Wow. All right. Well, there it is. Who's scoring at home, though, huh? Kurtis is.
Not
That's
me.
who.
That's
there you go.
That ain't happening.
And we come back with such joyous times.
Oh, yes.
I do love that open. January is for playoff football. I was like, what is he going to do? Is he going to have an explosion? Or is he going to have a homer going, don't? Is it,
the
record scratch?
The record scratch is just
okay.
Perfect because there's no words. It's just the sound.
So you can grab a phone line right now if you got something to say. 913-810-810, the phone number. You can hit me up on the Twitter at Soren Petro, SORENPETRO, the phone number, or the Twitter handle, or what have you, whatever it is. You know what I'm getting at?
That type of thing.
I think you hear what I'm laying down.
Yeah,
I'm laying it down really well.
You know the deal.
Man.
Come on, folks. Been doing this for a while. You know the deal.
How did I, Kyle, change what you have written up there? Because I think I left that in Todd's office, just FYI.
Drag.
Yeah.
I can go grab it.
Yeah, go see if I left that down in Todd's office.
It's like 20 feet away.
Well, I know.
You didn't
I'm not used to the
leave it in
handful
Grandview.
of papers that Kyle hands me every day.
Yeah.
But we'll get back in the swing.
You're
a little rusty.
Essential stuff.
A little rusty. Yeah.
A bit.
I don't know what the hell I did. Is it all marked up and scribbled on? Yeah, there you go. That's it. There it is. Now I know what we're doing. David Leski's going to be with us in the 3 o'clock hour. We will talk about the extension.
Mm-hmm.
An extension given to Matt Quatrero. And
despite his inability to handle the lineup and the pitching staff.
I was just going to say, they gave him an extension, even with all your bitching and moaning about Quatrero all year. Gotta know how to use a bullpen.
Terrible.
No, we are both big fans of Matt Quatrero, the manager. Matt Quatrero, the guy, I don't know real well, but it's always seemed like a good man to me. Stand-up guy. Always answers the questions, always thoughtful. And I think this extension richly deserved.
But has just enough, not red A in him, too. When he gets a question that's kind of poorly formed, he'll just kind of like, yeah. He won't exactly let you off the hook. Well, that's what happened.
Well, do you really? Because I think there are times that he is unbelievably forgiving.
Oh yeah, but sometimes he'll do it in a way where,
like if you put a ring on his finger, I wonder if he doesn't go. Now Ned was there before he got the ring.
Yeah,
but Ned actually was the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Ned had the red ass up until he won the ring. Then he calmed down
he was
relaxed a little bit.
Uncle Ned.
But I wonder if Matt Quatrero isn't the other way around. That
Could
he's
be.
And then if he does win a championship, he's like, enough of your stupid ass questions.
No, I just love the fact someone asks him a question that kind of the answers obviously go, well, yeah, that's what happened.
First press conference at the spring training after he wins the world championship is held in his office. His belt is undone.
Yeah.
He's got the undershirt on and is holding a bottle of gin.
He's eating.
And starts with, I'm already tired of the whole blankuation.
He's got
Goes Hal McRae, goes full Hal McRae right out of the gates. I ain't got to take your crap no more, people.
Eating a plate of tacos, cheese all over his shirt like Jim Leland.
They have like professional chefs now. It'd be like some kind of artistic gourmet health tacos. See the breakfast spreads they come out with.
Never seen anything more funny in a clubhouse than Jim Leland in postgame.
Smoking a butt.
With this spread, and he's got the tacos. He's sitting there answering questions.
With
Somebody's
taco
got
stuff all over him.
Cheese and lettuce on his shirt. You're like,
because he's leaned
this
back
is
in
a
his
world
chair.
championship manager He says, well, you know, he's chomping away at something. There's 3 cameras on him. It's like, that's a man who's fresh out of them.
Yeah.
He's great.
The baseball manager office, back in the day when maybe other NFL cities still had, but when you'd be able to sit down in some of the guys' offices and talk to them, there were some, I've told you about one, I don't want to say who, but there's one, not Carl, let me just say that, people think it was Carl, but there was one of the guys in the organization, let's just say, just leaned all the way back in the chair, feet up on the desk, hands behind the head, uttered some just priceless phrases over the years.
Leland and Ron Gardenhire, 2 of my all-time favorite managers. I love Gardy.
Had a pretty good game.
So
Had a pretty good game from your start tonight, huh, Greg? Oh yeah, well, pretty good game day before too. Day before that,
So fun.
think of the day before that. That's how you win 7 in a row. You know,
I love when the Twins.
a pretty good day from the guy on the mound. You're a long way there.
Gardenhire
great.
and Torrey Hunter, 2 of my favorite people to talk to. So
All right. Well,
I don't know how we got down there.
I don't know, but there we are. There's
baseball
a moment for
talk.
us.
Talking about baseball talk.
I would say we haven't talked to each other, but we've seen each other about 3 or 4 times since
Seemingly.
during those moments. But and except for Kyle didn't show up. He didn't come to anything.
No.
They're too busy. I gotta get home and play video games. First shooter.
Too much going on.
I gotta get my headset on, and my guy, little Stewie, there in Denmark. We're going on an assault, and
Am I in the ballpark
that
of how
sounds like me, yeah.
the video game stuff works?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's how it
Impression
is.
spot on.
I got a nephew. What's with the headset? Oh, he's talking to his friends, playing the game. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
They like-
I've seen that.
And he's your nephew, your son. I'm saying to my brother-in-law, is he considered a cool kid, or is? Because it looks like Dorkfest to me. Like, what do we? Is this? No, that's what they all do.
A week in Colorado, my friend's daughter's wedding. One of the people gets tagged along. He spent most of the weekend either hiking or on. He was weird when he wasn't doing that. He was hiking up the mountain behind
Or
us,
playing
just
video
spending
games.
2 or 3. No, he would take off. I'm going to go up this hill. A couple thousand feet. He'd come back down. That, or he was in the evening. He was on his laptop with his headset.
Okay, then he was playing video games.
Yeah,
okay, I was like,
but it was
I'm
like
not
he wasn't.
I'm like, I don't think you're getting what I'm laying down here,
But it was
because
weird
hiking
because-
seems to be the exact opposite. But now I see
I
what
know,
you're
but he
saying.
was doing them both. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, he's got it covered.
Yeah,
He's getting the full experience.
Full, well-rounded guy. Well-rounded like that Chiefs offense, huh? How about that for a transition?
Wow.
We'll continue to say what we've been saying for a few weeks. If you, called and you're like, well, Mahomes has got to, you now understand how foolish that sounded. It's not Pat, okay? Because Pat wasn't there. How'd it look to you?
Actually, it was Pat, but in the other way. It was Pat keeping this team
Is Pat
on the
keeping
field.
it afloat. All right, so they've completed it. By the way, how many of us, show of hands, cheered when the 60-yard field goal went through?
Oh, my gosh,
Well,
yes.
mine's way up in the air.
Yes, absolutely.
In
fact, my hope was that, and I know it wasn't, but I was like, if Andy Reid called that timeout just to give Carlson a
time?
shot,
God,
that's
doesn't
like,
it look like that?
It'd be like the most baller move
Ever.
he's
I'm
ever
going to
made.
give him credit for it. I'm like, I can't believe he's helping them out.
That's just fantastic.
I'm like, they can't be. Oh, I'm like, he has to be doing this on purpose.
It is this. If it is the single best.
I don't think they got any yards after
no,
the timeout,
no.
though.
But they threw another pass, but incomplete. But
he gave him time to
he
get
gave
it
him
closer.
time. Yeah. If
Can you complete an out? If you can,
come on, Doug, gun it.
you can
Just
get
run
this
it.
into the 50s. No,
Run
they
that
couldn't.
there. And it's easily the best piece of clock management he's done this season.
What is it that what is the rule of thumb we've heard that they need 15 seconds? You need to snap a play with 15 to get a spike.
I can't remember what Dave Tobe said from opening.
Well, that was.
weekend.
I think he said 17. Didn't he say 17 to get the field goal unit out?
Yeah.
And get a kickoff, and they did it in like 14 or 13 or something.
But they had it down to spike it, so which they were going to do until
Well, that's what I
was called.
That's what I thought they were going to do, was hit a quick, like the first, was it the first or second play on the 13-second drive? I can't remember. Was Tyreek Hill's catch first?
Hill's catch was first.
The Travis Kelce catch then.
Yeah.
I thought that's what they were going to do, and hit a quick straight go on a tight end.
Yeah.
And, if it's there, hit him. If it's not, throw it out of bounds. But hit him, He's going to run for about 10 to 12 yards, and he's going to go into a slide and give himself up, and you are going to, get the spike.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I thought they were going to do, but said they bring the kicker out and they get it done. Sam McDowell put it very well. We were talking, I think at that time we were 8-13. He's like, if you could move up 5 spots, would you trade consecutive winning seasons for moving up, 5-6 spots in the draft? Yes, you would.
Yeah.
Like, you feel like it means something, but to quote our buddy Eric Eager, who, by the way, moves on.
Yes.
Carolina Panthers back-ass their way into the playoffs, but nonetheless a playoff team. Congratulations to our buddy Eric Eager and the Panthers. But I say back-ass because they...
Back-ass their way into a home game.
Yeah.
At 8-9.
Exactly. Because they didn't get the win.
Which they're a double-digit dog.
Which I'm fine with. That's the way it works. Like, we'll talk more about how the system is. But anyway, this was the best outcome. I mean, they did it right. They tanked right. And I got to be honest with you, like I'm telling you, I think you guys know that you guys know, but everyone out there knows that I have good friends in Vegas, and they cover the Raiders. Adam Hill and Steve Cofield are really good friends of mine. And they're like, oh, it's unbelievable. Like, and neither one of those guys, Cofield's a lifelong Jets fan, and Adam was I don't know where his allegiance is. For a while he was the Bills, but I thought he was joking, but he was a Tyrod Taylor fan.
Wow.
So I don't know that he has allegiance anywhere now, but he covers the Raiders as well for the Review Journal and everything. And they're like, it's blanking amazing. Like, the Chiefs even, tank better.
Because the Raiders screwed it up last year. They didn't this year, finally.
That
Giant game was, if that was a tank, that was a good move.
But it was, but before that,
they
like
hadn't
just
locked it up.
Some of the decisions that they were making. He's like, the Chiefs get it. Like, they're IRing everybody they can, and guys that would have fought through injuries and played if this were a moment to get into the playoffs didn't play. And I tip my cap to the Chiefs organization. The players and coaches that went out on that field tried to win. I firmly believe they did everything they could to win.
Yeah.
But they found themselves in a position to where if we can sit a few more guys that are hurt and there's no reason to risk them, then let's sit them and let's strip it down. That's the only way you can do it. Everybody goes out on that field has to try to win, but
until
bravo to the plan of how they play these last 2 games.
Until Shane Buechele hit Hollywood Brown, we're like, what is happening?
But that's what I'm saying.
Like,
all the plays that happen on the field are not part of the tank. They can't be part of the tank.
They did everything they could in that situation.
Unless Andy Reid put on his GM cap and went, I'll give you a timeout here. Let me give you a chance to make this better. That's the one. That's the only thing that you could question. Did they call that timeout to help the Raiders?
Yeah.
Otherwise, nothing that happened on that field was done.
No.
I mean, I think,
Because it's funny, Jason Anderson put it well. He said the Chiefs are going to trade back from 9 to 11 and not get anything in return.
Yeah.
When they kicked the field goal, I'm like, pretty much.
Yes.
And there was no reason to expect the Raiders to drive down and get that. And they hit that first big play. They got to the 47. I'm like, they're 10 yards away, man.
Yeah.
They might actually pull this off.
Look, I say bravo. I think they played it well. I don't mind that they tried to win the third to last game. They had all the veterans ready to roll, and they ran them out there and tried to get it done. I don't mind that. Still going for the winning season. For me, it would have been, like I said, a false trophy. As our buddy Eric Eager, that's what I was getting ready to quote. It used to say, like, these false trophies that teams have.
Yeah.
Well, we have the best rushing off. Well, who cares? Well, we're number one. It's irrelevant. Well, we've done this many years in a row. I know, but the goal is to win a championship. Does any of that help you win a championship? If the answer is no, it's just a fake trophy.
The Ravens have been piling up some false trophies over the last
ton of them. They are the
5 or 6
DVOA
years.
kings, right? And it's gotten them nowhere.
Yeah, they get 2 MVPs and 3 playoff wins.
Yeah. So, look, the season ended the way I think that is best for the Chiefs' future. Now we have a lot of things to discuss moving forward. But from on the field, the one thing I want to point out are a couple of things. One, the obvious, Patrick Mahomes makes an amazing difference.
Yeah, that they don't have a backup quarterback right now.
Yeah.
Neither one of those guys could you count on.
Well,
hey, you're going into week 1. You don't know if Mahomes is going to be 100%.
They don't have. They actually don't have a backup quarterback because I don't think any one of the guys they have are signed.
Oh, yeah. But even if they were.
But that includes Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
So, no, they do not have a backup quarterback. And, look, I'm okay with, and I think the plan has to be, we've told the Tom Moore story. Ron Jaworski standing there next to Tom Moore, the Colts offensive coordinator, when Peyton Manning was their quarterback, and Peyton Manning's taking every rep in practice. And Jaworski goes, hey, Tom, I mean, you going to give the backup a couple of reps? He's like, let me tell you something. If 18 goes down, we're blanked. We don't practice blanked. Like, that's kind of where the Chiefs are right now.
Yeah.
With their cap situation. Now, they may get to a point where they can carry a $3, $4, $5 million guy. What was it, 1 for 8, I think, was the number on Marcus Mariota in Washington, which I think is a good investment because I think Jaden Daniels is like Joe Montana and RG3. He's a talented guy, but he's going to be hurt. He's a slightly built guy. You better have a good backup when those are your quarterbacks. But for the Chiefs, they've got a guy who's a tough guy, and he doesn't go down much. I know he got his knee hurt, but if you're going to just say, hey, we're all in around him, and if he goes down, we're blanked. I'm okay with that strategy.
But how do you handle the first part of next season? Not sure whether he's going to.
But I want to back up.
Okay.
Because I want to back up because I think we can talk about the backup quarterbacks till we're blue in the face. I don't think it was the problem. Are you telling me that Shane Buechele, who several teams have thought is good enough to at least be in the league, can't play better than? I think Shane Buechele is better than Chris Oladokun.
Yeah.
And no offense, Chris Oladokun's a nice story. But I think what's being buried here is the problems with the offense.
Yes.
I mean, this team, this head coach has gone into battle with, what was it, Matt Miller? What was his name? Matt Moore. Matt Moore and, just grabbing guys off the street, and they looked much better than this.
Yeah.
Now, is it Tyreek Hill means that much? Maybe. I'm open to that. Is it, well, it's a combination of Chris Oladokun and the fact that you're on your 4th and 5th offensive tackles. Okay. But when I watched those guys play, they were not they're both better than Jordan Black.
Right.
Okay, who if you don't remember Jordan Black, congratulations, and I'm thrilled that you're now legal to drink because you're probably in your low 20s and you don't remember the Dick Vermeil years, which is fine. Let me just educate you. They had the greatest offensive line I've ever seen, and then John Tate, who was never really on the same page with the front office, is like, I'm out. Went to the Bears in free agency, and they had to replace what was one of, if not the best right tackle in football. And they did it with 3rd or 4th round pick out of Notre Dame, Jordan Black, and he frankly sucked. And so they were great at 4 positions and awful over on the 1 tackle spot. Both those guys, I'd take either one of these guys over Jordan Black. I mean, look, should either one of them start? Not right now. Do you think either one of them could start? I do. I mean, I see the athleticism that they see and why they've invested the time in Chu Godric and Esapole. I mean, they look like they could be something.
Yeah.
Ideally, they're probably swing tackles their whole career, but they belong in the league at some point. But what jumps out at me is, especially when I pair the last 3 games of Chiefs football with what I saw last night between the Steelers and Ravens. And most of this, in all of our minds, if you watch that game, the 4th quarter, it becomes the whole game. And it was not the whole game.
No.
Right? It was very different. I mean, when I was watching the highlights after the game and the first Steeler touchdown, I'm like, oh, my God, that's right. They had 13 points. Like, this ended up being a score fest back and forth. But what stood out to me was they got guys high school wide open against defenses that take a lot of pride in playing defenses that can play at a really high level, head coaches that are defensive-minded guys, experienced coordinators, and against 2 teams that really know each other.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what new should Baltimore or Pittsburgh be able to lay out on the other one that they just haven't seen?
Exactly.
And yet they got Zay Flowers wide open a couple of times. They got Calvin Austin wide open. To hear Aaron Rodgers tell it, I don't know that I believe this, but in the post-game press conference, he said, well, I said a couple of times to Calvin, like, what do you want to do on the backside? Like, apparently he was bunching 3 receivers on the other side, and they leave Calvin Austin over on the other side. And he said, Calvin, he didn't really have much to say. He said, but, last time I said, what do you want to do on the backside? And he said, I think somebody else said, give him the stop and go, or I think that's what he called it. Anyway, they do it, and the defender falls down, and he's like, I just caught him. He said, I was going over to the right, and out of the corner of my eye, I see 3 fall down, and I'm like, okay, it was an easy touchdown. So that wasn't necessarily scheme on that one. That was maybe Calvin Austin, who's a nice little player. If you're in a dynasty league, you probably know who Calvin Austin is. If you're not, you probably don't, because your regular redraft fantasy league, you're probably not getting down to Calvin Austin. But nerds like Jake and me that do these goofy things, like you get down, you're like, ooh, that's a nice guy to have down at the bottom of my roster. And, so he's a talented little slot type player. But, I don't think he's more talented than Rashee Rice. He's not nearly as big.
No.
He's like Sky Moore size, maybe even lighter on the weight. But yet he's able to get wide open on the Baltimore Ravens. And in particular, Zay Flowers, the number one freaking option on the Ravens. They're able to get him wide open. And I know if you sat and watched, whether it was on NBC or I don't know if NBC did it, but I know ESPN did a breakdown on here's how he came open. Here's what it was. They held the tight end. Like Mark Andrews stayed in the block, so the linebacker didn't go with them, so there was nobody in the underneath. And so when somebody made a mistake, that left that whole area wide open. Well, that was schematically. They left Mark Andrews because they're like, well, if we leave him in, the linebacker doesn't go. And Zay Flowers has got all this space over here. And no, we don't think they're going to completely not cover him, but he can bend it kind of Chief style. He can bend it wherever he wants to the green space, and we've got a chance to drop that pass in there. Turns out that they blew the coverage, and now he's just literally wide open.
Yeah.
But and I heard people say, well, it's a busted coverage. Well, obviously, when the number one wide receiver has nobody within 20 yards, but it's a busted coverage because you made somebody think something else.
Yes.
A guy didn't just come out there and go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. The scheme of Arthur, or who's their OC? The Georgia OC that one of, anyway. Yeah. He schemed it up.
Todd Monken.
Is he still there? I think he is.
I think he might be. Yeah. Every blown coverage is because the offense did something that the defense wasn't expecting.
Made a defensive guy think something else.
Someone covering a guy went to cover somebody else.
When was the last time you saw somebody running wide open for this team? Like, that's the thing about, like, I hear, like, I don't think Oladokin's an NFL quarterback. I think a practice squad is fine. Impersonating a mobile quarterback is a reason to carry him on the practice squad. If he was ever your number two, okay, maybe to run him, in the short yardage if you want to protect your quarterback. But, I mean, what I've seen over the last 3 weeks just solidifies what we've talked about a lot this year. The scheme has to be updated. And we've talked all year, and there's no doubt, look, just like having a great pass rush makes your secondary look better, and having great coverage makes your pass ruch look better. If you can cover for 10 seconds, Curtis and I might get to Aaron Rodgers eventually.
Possible.
Oh, look at that pass rush. Oh, they got to him. Well, no, they're like glue back there for 10 seconds. Yes. Or likewise, if you got a line of all Aaron Donalds and Derek Thomases and the quarterback has less than 2 seconds to get the ball out, you're going to think you've got some really good coverage people back there.
Yeah, the Bears' corners weren't Hall of Famers in '85. They just had to cover for a second and a half, and they were done. It's
complementary football. And, yes, the complementary side of football exists within the offense as well. And we have spent all year talking about how they don't have a running back. They got to get a running back. Like, Saquon Barkley is going to come in here and it's all going to be fixed. Now, I will say this. We saw some of their best running in this game. Brashard Smith, actually, there were holes. He saw them, which is different than one of their running backs.
Yes.
And then he got through it, which is different than the other running back.
Oh, you can plant a foot and cut up field and then cut back the other direction?
Pacheco theoretically has the speed to get through a hole, but he can't see him. And Hunt can see him, but he can't get through him.
Yeah.
Well, Brashard Smith had some moments. And so all of you that chirped about Brashard Smith, today's your day. Call today. Because they gave him the ball. And he actually ran kind of tough.
Yeah.
As well. So, he came back onto my radar screen with that performance. But also schematically, they did a nice job in scheming up the run. But we spent all year going like, oh, they got to run to take some pressure off Patrick Mahomes. No, you got to equip Mahomes with some receivers. Not a receiver, with some open receivers, with some open targets. The position, do you want to invest in receiver? Sure, I'm fine with investing in another wide receiver. I think it's always good business. You play with at least 3 of them on the field at all times. And when you only control guys for 4 years, you ought to take a receiver 3 out of 4 years, realistically. To just turn that position over with high-quality talent. So you want to take a receiver? I'm all for getting another receiver, okay? That's fine. But I think part of the reason the run game sucks is even with a light box, what about the passing game? Is getting a part of the run game. We've said it before. You want to average 5 yards a carry? You don't go 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. You go 9, 1, 2, 7, 3, 5, 1, 8. Well, when you get 1 and 3 back to back, you got to complete a pass. And if your passing game sucks and you can't get that completion, or your offensive line can't protect the quarterback, and you come off the field and everybody goes, well, the offense sucks, and part of it's, or the running game. Look at the running game; it's only averaging 3 yards a carry. Well, when you only run the ball 9 times, and I don't buy that back needs about 10 carries before he really gets. Oh, shut up! Can he see the hole or not?
Yes.
I don't think that's it.
You can look at a guy and go, he can do it.
So is there a talent problem at running back? Yeah, I think they could be more talented. But if they could also complete some passes, get some guys wide open, and you have a quarterback, and I'll credit Sam McDonaghan, who's quoted many times that Patrick Mahomes, I think, was 3rd lowest at one point, but at times is the lowest on contested throws. He wants a guy more open before he's going to get it there, which to me opens up a bigger question on when his legs are gone and he can't buy more time. Is he going to make those contested throws? I don't know. It remains to be seen. But I know this. Schematically, they did not get enough people open enough.
No.
And I think that compounded what was a lesser running game. Do I think this was, at one point I mentioned they were on pace for 2,000 yards. I don't know what they ended up with, but they were on pace for 2,000 yards this year. They hadn't run for 2,000 yards for 10 years. And everyone's talking about the problem is the running game. It is. It's part of the problem because Mahomes was a lot of the early yards, as we know. But no, I think the bigger problem was they could not rely on their passing game. Remember T-shirts that said 4th and whatever?
Yeah.
3rd and whatever? Like
now, if it was 3rd and 6, you're like,
oh, geez,
man.
oh no,
Can they?
It's a long way to go.
3rd and 15 was a gimme.
Maybe they can spread them real wide and Pat can run for one. That's your plan now on the passing game.
They ran for 1,800 yards.
Look, I've said it before, and I'll quit talking and we'll take some phone calls, but the most important thing for every professional team is to be honest with what's looking back at them in the mirror. What do you see? And I'm going to tell you, if they look in that mirror and they're like, yeah, passing game's good. No, you're kidding yourself. And are the checks and balances in place for somebody to tell if Andy's like, no, coming back, same scheme, we're all good. Well, who's telling Andy that ain't going to work?
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know. I mean, I hope it's Brett Veach. I hope it's, I don't think Mark Donovan or Clark Hunt are going to come down and tell him football. But Brett Veach, Matt Nagy, Dave Tobe, his most respected lieutenants need to be like, my hope is that Andy looks at it and goes, all right, this has got to change. And there's a major overhaul. And this is what we're going to do. That's my hope. But if he doesn't, somebody needs to tell him this is where it needs to be.
And the great thing about improving the scheme is it didn't cost you a draft pick or free agent money.
Yeah.
If you can improve the running game and the passing game by changing the scheme, it's a lot better than having to use a first-round pick on a wide receiver when you need spots or a high second-round pick when you need spots elsewhere.
They've gotten, other than the Hollywood Brown big catch, in the last 3 games, when has somebody just been where you're like, oh, they got him?
Yeah. I don't remember.
I don't. Even leaking a tight end out the backside, off like Mike Shanahan used to do time and time again to Gunther Cunningham off a bootleg. Even something as simple as that, a simple misdirection.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look, they showed the run. He faked the pitch and he came out the backside, and look, he's wide open. Never.
The Raiders had more guys. They had some guys. You're like, well, that guy's wide open. Even they had it.
Yeah.
In a game they weren't really even trying to win.
All right, 913-381-810. We'll take your calls next here on the program.
The program with Soren Petro.
I have a giant man crush on Vinny Pasquantino.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, let me tell you about my friends at Hen House, your neighborhood market for more than 100 years. First of all, thanks to the Hen House Delicatessen. The sushi today, chef's kiss, went down there for lunch with the family. Love the sushi bar, so give it a try if you like sushi. Trust me, they make it fresh every single day at your neighborhood Hen House. And if you want to save a buck or two, you can do that as well. Like, save right now. Save $1 on Conecuh smoked sausage. Selected varieties, 16 ounces. That's just $5.99. How about the best tasting chicken breast around? That's right, they win taste tests all the time. Boneless, skinless chicken breast, only $2.99 a pound. You save $1.30 per pound on that. How about saving $3 per pound on pork tenderloin? It's sold full and in cryovac. It's only $2.99 a pound. And the seafood selection, I've said it many, many times before. Back at the meat counter, that's the most underrated part of the game. Whether it's the lobster tails, whether it's the crab legs, or all the different fillets of fish that are out there, it is absolutely wonderful. You can get the Seabest Sway fillets right now. They're 10 ounces, only $3.99 a pound. All these prices are good until January 25th. You can check them all out at henhouse.com. That's right, go to to henhouse.com to see all these great specials, whether it's their wonderful delicatessen, their award-winning salad bar, their incredible bakery, my favorite, the meat counter, back at your neighbor at Henhouse, or everything in the middle as well. Always great savings to be found at henhouse.com. Henhouse, now 100% teammate-owned.
A lot is up in the air with health insurance this year, but there's an exciting new development that will dramatically improve access and affordability to the health care we need most. This is Dr. Troy Burns at Pro Partners Healthcare with exciting news. For the first time ever, you can use your HSA to pay for direct primary care. Thanks to changes in the laws, patients and employers can finally include direct primary care in their health benefits using pre-tax HSA dollars. DPC offers direct access to your doctor for a flat monthly fee and has been proven to improve health, satisfaction with care, and reduce overall health care costs. It's what we've delivered at Pro Partners for years. Patients and employers can use their HSA to pay for guaranteed access to primary care physicians who are always available and can manage 80 to 90% of all health care needs. Now that's affordable health care. Call or text 913-451-5709 to see how this could work for you or your business. 913-451-5709 or online at propartnershealthcare.com.
Kansas City, it's time to get in the game. The sports book at Argosy Casino and Hotel is...
Coach firings piling up today in the NFL.
Who's the latest?
Pete Carroll and Jonathan Gannon.
Stefanski,
Raheem Morris. Is that what we got? Are we at 4? Or is there? I don't think I'm forgetting
Stefanski
somebody.
won't be. Or should he take a year off? Should he do the Mike Vrabel thing and chill for a year and come back when there's?
I don't know how good. I don't know. Stefanski will get another shot because people will be happy to say, "Well, Cleveland sucks. Who's going to win there?"
Yeah,
But
that'll help.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm not sure what to think about Stefanski. But yeah, Pete Carroll out, Jonathan Gannon out at Arizona.
I take him as an OC, but he probably won't take that job because he knows he'll get another top job.
I forget where he come from? He was Minnesota's OC,
I think
right?
so. Yeah.
913-810-810, the phone number. Chiefs 9th overall pick now. We prepare for the draft. They're not on the clock, but we're starting to talk about it, I'm sure, very soon. Let's talk to Sean here to lead us off today. You're on the program, Sean. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Happy New Year, fella.
Same to you, my friend. What's on your mind?
Yeah, just a few things. Just thinking about the season, it's unfortunately that, it came down to where we're at. We're not going to be playing January football no more, but I think on the offensive side of the ball, I think there need to be changes made. I mean, we have Todd Pinkston as a running back coach, and he came from Philadelphia as a wide receiver, correct? He was the wide receiver.
Yes, he played wide receiver for the Eagles.
Yeah, so I think they need to get somebody more familiar with that coaching perspective to fill that role. And also I heard that I know I was reading a few blogs this morning about Cliff
Kingsbury, yep.
Yeah, because unfortunately, what they were saying, the way the articles, sometimes it may be, bait, but they was making it seem like this is it for Matt Nagy, that he probably won't be back after this season. And so I wanted to ask, Ren, as far as our draft pick, we're ninth in the draft. Do you think the Chiefs should move up and try to get a good player on the defensive side of the ball, or maybe wide receiver? I know running backs, I wouldn't reach for a running back because there's plenty of good running backs that teams had drafted well in later rounds, or I'm not sure who's in free agency. But I think the Chiefs really need like a pass rush presence or impacted wide receiver because, I mean, face it, this is I think Travis Kelce's a free agent, right? Restricted free agent.
Yeah, I can't see any scenario where what the Chiefs should pay Travis Kelce meets with what he would want to play another year. I do not. The whole conversation about, well, he needs to come back. Do what you want to do, man. But I'm a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't see the scenario that a 30 soon to be, or what would be a turning 37 late in the season year-old tight end should be given 10, 12. He's making 18 this year. I don't think he's worth, in my opinion, $5 to $7 million, and I don't see him coming back. And I don't see the Chiefs needing to pay that. I don't see that being the answer for this team.
No.
And that's my thing. You walk on, I mean, and like you said in the past about this Chris Jones contract, it's really biting the Chiefs in the butt right now. But they should have walked off from Chris Jones a few years ago. And Travis Kelce, I don't even bring him back. I go into the draft and, with this low draft pick that you're going to have, maybe you look for a primary wide receiver, or you look for a defensive end or a defensive tackle. And hey, listen, I'll listen off off air, and you guys have a good day, man.
You do the same, Sean. I appreciate the call. It's always good to talk to you. Yeah, I mean, listen, at 10, what you have is a valuable asset. The question is, how do you use it, right? And the name of the game is to try to increase your assets all the time. You can increase your asset at number 9 by doing, I should say, top 10 pick. At number 9, because I think top 10 carries a little. 11, to me, it was important to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
And why does that matter? Why is 10? I don't know, because 10 just does.
It just does. Yeah.
So 100 is an important number.
And anyone who
99-yard day is just a yard less. I'm aware, but it's not a 100-yard day. That's kind of the benchmark. It's just how people think. It's just.
And anyone who thinks it doesn't hasn't been paying attention.
Yeah. So I thought that was important, was to get into the top 10. But to have that asset, you can play it one of a couple of ways. One, we're early in the process. You need to, build your draft board. And if your draft board says that there are 16 first-round picks and there's 5 guys that you think have the potential for a Hall of Fame that aren't quarterbacks, and you're at 9, then you want to trade up? If you trade up from 9, we better be talking about a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Because the price is
so expensive per slot.
Yeah, when you get up high, moving up those slots starts to get more and more expensive. Now, I think the price has come down in recent years. But to me, when you're at 9, what the hope is, for me, what's my dream scenario? I guess my dream scenario is that there's an incredible defensive end. There's an incredible wide receiver. You may not want to hear this, but there's an incredible offensive tackle. There's somebody at the premium positions that are re-signable as well. Because I don't want to re-sign Trent McDuffie. I don't want to see that money put there because I believe it's a young man position. So I don't even want to be like, oh, let's go get a great corner. Why? It's only 4 or 5 years, right? Which is how you have to look at it. But I would rather get one of the positions that can really change a franchise. If there's a defensive end and you go, that guy's that's 10 sacks every year. That guy's 8 sacks on his own. If we give him any help, he's 12 to 18. Okay, then I'm down for that guy. I'd construct a trade to trade down, and if he falls to me at 9, great, we make the pick. He's off the board, or the 2 or 3 guys like that, 5 Hall of Famers are off the board, we're trading down. And we're going to take that number 9 pick, and we're going to try to get more assets for it. Even if we don't get exactly what the trade chart says we should, we need more assets. I'm trading Trent McDuffie. I'm listening if somebody wants to call me on Rashee Rice. I mean, I think that's the other thing we saw here is that Rashee Rice is not a number 1. I've said that for a while. Some people want to, well, if you take his last 8 games of his rookie year and the first 3 games before he got hurt, yes, you have 11 random games, and the numbers are nice. But you also have a guy who's an at-risk player and now has had a major knee injury. And he came back, so you get a chance to view him. Do you think Rashee Rice is a number 1 receiver? I don't. Do I think he's a number 2? I do. That's what I think he is. And so I'd listen on Rashee Rice because he's going into his 4th year, the last year of control. I mean, you either need to be signing him, which if I were his agent, I'm like, we're not signing. Like, you just had a crap year, and you've had all these legal problems.
Like 12 games
and you've been
in 2
hurt.
years.
Like, do you believe in yourself? Get your ass to work. Have a great offseason. Let's go have a big year. Let's hit free agency, and let's really get you paid. So what I would offer Rashee Rice, what I'd be willing to pay Rashee Rice should not take if he's got an agent that's worth anything. Now, if his agent's like, you need to take this. Well, if he would take what I offered him, now I don't want to give it to him because why are you taking it? The agent's urging him to take it because he knows this guy's still a jackass, driving too fast somewhere, not working out. So, I don't see the scenario that has me, at this point, ready to give Rashee Rice a contract. So why am I going to wait around next year to watch him just walk? If somebody will give me more than a 4th, certainly, or maybe even more than a 5th, because I don't know that he alone next year is going to warrant a 3rd-round pick on his own. That's where you get these things like, well, we got to get at least a 3rd. Like Breece Hall, we want a 3rd because they thought they were going to get a 3rd-round pick in compensation, which is really a sandwich pick between the 3rd and 4th. They wanted more than that. Otherwise, let him play it out, and we'll take our compensation pick when he walks in free agency. Well, I think Rashee Rice is going to bring that back. So I'm listening for draft picks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody on this roster needs to be in play who's not named Patrick Mahomes. And when I hear well, if Kelsey wants to come back, you got to bring him back. No, you don't. No, you don't. And I really hope that Brett Veach and Andy Reid on the football side are about winning championships and not keeping the band together. Okay? Because I don't need to see fat-ass Meatloaf run out on the stage and butcher a song because he's always been in the band. No. Let's get somebody who can play. And it's not that Travis Kelce can't play. He can, right? But the approach can't be well, he's a Chief. He's got to retire as a Chief. No, he does not. That's why all these guys do these stupid, sign him for a day. Fine. Do that goofy crap after he spends 2 years in Carolina or wherever. I'm like, Carolina wouldn't be a bad place for him to go. If he wants to keep playing football, and Carolina wants to give him $12 million to be a leader in their locker room, go do it, Travis. Hey, we pat on the back. But you know what, Travis? We knew this was your last year. You know when we knew it? When we signed Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Nick Bolton. We knew that was it. Because now that the weight of those contracts comes on, there's no room for you. And we made up our mind 2 years ago. And there's no going back. And that's the way the decisions need to happen if you want to keep winning championships. 913-810-810. Jerry, you're in the program. What's up, Jerry?
Oh, messing around, thinking about everything you guys are saying. Hopefully not interrupted by my roof being put on. I have 2 questions.
Okay, lay them on me.
Okay. I'll approach the draft pick. do you have any idea how many quarterbacks might get picked in this year's draft? And if the Chiefs are ranked number 9, what ranking or what would be the ranking of the people left over that the Chiefs could potentially get? Would it be, top 6, top 7?
At quarterback?
And the other one, yeah.
Okay.
Well, if they don't pick a quarterback, hopefully there'll be extras, whatever the highest pick would be for them or the lowest pick they could get for what's left over, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, okay.
Is there 2 quarterbacks going? Is there 3 quarterbacks going?
Okay.
And then they would get – and the next question is, if Travis Kelce, if he does come back, can they make it team-friendly and give him a bunch of incentives for after the Super Bowl? And then I'd be happy with it.
Okay.
But if not, trade the pick. But I'll listen off the air. Hopefully it makes sense to you.
All right, Jerry, it does. Thank you for the call. Let me start with the Travis Kelce. I mean, could you offer it? Sure. Would he take it? I don't think so. Why would you? And if you think you can play, which he can still play, as long as he puts in the kind of work he did last offseason, I think he can still play, and I think there's value for him in this league. But I don't think that value is as one of the highest paid tight ends in football.
No.
I don't think he's going to get it here. I think you might be able to, like I said, a team with a good or great young quarterback, so he's not expensive, that has a lot of cap room. The Bears would be a great spot. They've got Colston Loveland, so I don't think they're going to invest a whole lot in it. But if Loveland's been kind of slow to develop maybe a little bit this year, but he shows a lot of ability. And if they're like, Travis, come in and show this guy how to play. Okay, what's that worth to the Bears? To show him how to play. To have 2 tight end sets, I don't know, $6, $7 million? Like, to me, what's his value here in Kansas? What is the value here? This point in this franchise's existence is to win a championship. Right? And I don't see where the dollars, no matter what, I don't think there's an incentives deal, because you still have to count that against the cap. That's not free against the cap.
No.
It just hits on next year. First of all, any likely to be earned, if you're like, well, just make it that, like, at 300 yards he gets an incentive. Well, that counts. You have to count that against the cap. He had 850 some odd yards this year. So basically, the first time an incentive wouldn't count against the cap is at like 900 yards. 1,000 yards. You put an incentive at 500, 700, 800, you got to count those against the cap. They're, quote, likely to be earned. Only unlikely to be earned incentives don't count against the cap. And then when they earn them, they count against next year's cap. So you still have to count them. So it's not a get-out-of-jail-free card.
This offseason is going to determine the success level of the last years of Patrick Mahomes' career here. They can't make mistakes.
Yeah, it's a big one for sure. And as far as the quarterbacks that will be available, I think 2 will be off the board. I think the Indiana and Oregon quarterbacks will be off the board. I think right now, probably Ty Simpson at Alabama is the 3rd ranked quarterback. I've seen him mocked to the late 20s, 30. But this time, 2 years ago, Bo Nix and Penix were in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
And they ended up being top 10 picks. So we got a long way to go before we see things shake out. 913-3-810-810. Jim, you'll lead us off next.
The program with Soren Petro.
There's 3 idiots sitting here and Lebo walking by.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, listen up. Whether you are a big fan of the dunks, the blocks, the threes, do you love the stats? I love watching Jokic play when he's healthy. Love the numbers. Love the NBA. Love that I got NBA every single night in FanDuel. Underdog's got you covered from top to bottom. Whether it is whether you want to pick your favorite player, whether you want to choose points, rebounds, steals, just go higher or lower. It's that easy. Get your entries right. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash. That's right. You can make entries, win money right now in Missouri. Just go higher or lower. So I'll give you an example. You roll into a game, SGA, and the Thunder are rocking and rolling. Just go higher on his points. He's a scoring machine. Nobody can stop him, right? That's the way you do it. Download the app today. Use promo code SOREN, SOREN, to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code SOREN. It's all at Underdog right now. Make entries, win money right now in Missouri. And like I said, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Just download the Underdog app. Use the promo code SOREN, SOREN, to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. It's all at Underdog. Make plays, win money.
Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Men, the new year is here, and if you're like many of us, you're ready to improve your health. But if you're feeling low energy, not sleeping well, or not seeing results in the gym, keeping that resolution can be tough. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if those symptoms sound familiar, we can likely help. They often point to low testosterone, and treating low T is what we do. But this year, we're also helping men go further with 4 targeted body composition plans featuring growth hormone peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more, designed to boost energy, support metabolism, enhance recovery, and accelerate fat loss. With our low T treatments combined with our body composition programs, most men notice real improvements: more energy, better focus, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and often a renewed sex drive as
All right, 913-3810810, taking your phone calls. We'll take some more phone calls a little bit later on in the 3 o'clock hour, also in the 4 o'clock hour. Jim, you're going to talk right now. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call. I want to wish you guys a Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you. Same to you, my friend.
Hey, around Thanksgiving, a friend and I were talking about running backs in the NFL. We did a little exercise.
Okay.
We got the list of NFL running backs. We went, you guys should do it. Take 15 minutes or so, whatever. But yards per carry, 2025, and we just asked the simple question, is this running back better or worse than Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco? And when we ranked them, Hunt, we moved Hunt up a few spots because he's so good at short yardage. We were trying to be generous.
Mm-hmm.
Hunt came in about 34, and Pacheco came in about 42. And that they may have, and it surprised me a little bit, try it. But if you go, we rank the Chiefs as the single worst running back room in the entire NFL. And I know that's a crazy, you know what, and you, at least you can make an argument for it. And I know that sounds like we were being harsh and negative, but I'll just say this, when Brashard Smith against the Raiders actually looks a little bit better than either one of those two does, there's something going on there. And remember, you brought up in your monologue, you brought up the Matt Moore game where they won with, they beat the Minnesota Vikings in Arrowhead when Mahomes was hurt with Matt Moore. Damian Williams made a Vikings safety whiff and went 80 yards to the house. On what planet could that have happened in the last 2 years with our running backs? I like Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. I'd love to see Kareem Hunt come back. Because he can block on third down, he can catch passes, he's good on short yardage. But I think people underestimate just how bad the talent was at running back this year. And the other thing I'll say is I am not a Notre Dame fan, so this is not some homer thing. I've spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks watching Jeremiah Love tape, He's a weapon. I don't look at him as a running back. I look at him as like a Reggie Bush or a Jahmyr Gibbs, an offensive weapon. I really think if you put 82 on him, he could be the Chiefs' best wide receiver. I would love to see them get him at number 9. Yeah, and I get it. You typically don't want to draft a running back that high. I don't look at him as a running back. I look at him as a weapon. And have a great New Year, guys, and thanks for taking the call.
All right, I appreciate it. And listen, I think they're going to look long and hard, and I think they're going to address running back. I think they'll probably do a running back in free agency and a running back in the draft. Question is, do you have to go that high? I listened to Cynthia Freeland, I think it was last week, that she was on talking about the value, and she was adamant against the running back.
Yeah.
They clearly need an upgrade. And I think they wanted to address running back last year, but every time they came around to a slot where they might take somebody, they ended up going, okay, well, we can get this. We'll get a running back later. I like Love. Everybody likes Love. I think the question is, how high do you go, and is there a player that has a longer shelf life? Like I said, if I can get an edge rusher over a running back, I'm going to go edge rusher because I've got a longer shelf life with that position. Chris, wrap us up this hour. What's going on, buddy?
Hi, good afternoon. Hey, first thing, I think in evaluating players like Trey Smith at guard, it's like the baseball formula, wins against replacement. Do you sign a guy at guard for that money versus running back, that sort of thing? But really the reason I called, I think two main things that we need to look at is, number one, we need a fullback. Let's bring back an Anthony Sherman-like. We were effective. It gives defenses something they have to prepare for. We need someone, not a Carson Steele, but we need like an Anthony Sherman-type player so we can actually run out of the eye. And that gives us some versatility, things that Andy Reid's already done. But I think the biggest thing with our scheme is the routes that we run. When you look at the routes, constantly it's these curves and mesh routes and those sort of things. We get people open by trying to run people into people or get in their way versus hard foot in the ground, dig routes, square outs, hard comebacks. I watched this weekend, I watched the Niners. I watched, our old guy Robinson, come down and do a hard comeback and actually make a catch, And I think that it's not necessarily a complete revamp, but let's add in things that get people open, organically against man-to-man coverage. Worthy was a good route runner coming out of college. When he's just kind of running a curve and, flowing one way, it's easy to cover. And I think that those are the two main things, and we'll see a lot about Andy Reid as a leader. Back in the day, everyone will remember this with Bill Self, three-point shooting was fool's gold, right? He didn't want to shoot threes. We're not going to shoot threes. We're not going to shoot threes. Well, then reality hit him, and we went to the Final Four in 2018 with Frank Mason and Devontae Graham shooting threes. And so maybe Andy Reid can adjust. So
listen, I think Andy Reid has adjusted. And I'll say this, and thank you for the call, Steve. I think you make some compelling points. Look, at 66, 67 years old, the people close to him and Andy himself needs to look at, okay, am I still sharp? Am I still at the top of my game? He's very capable of being at the top of his game, but I think, he has clearly proven over the years that he can adjust. He has adjusted along the way. I think you'd have to ask the question, okay, why didn't he adjust this time? That seems to be where we'd be wondering, and will he adjust the next time? It's a big offseason for a lot of different reasons. That's one of them.
All right, before yesterday, when was the last time that an entire NFL division was in action on the same day without scoring an offensive touchdown?
He's taken Larry King to a Prince concert. He's eaten Dairy Queen while watching a Duke game.
Certainly Duke is Duke.
He's seen The Princess Bride with his friend Earl.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, it's safe to say he's obsessed with the Royals. From inside the crown, it's David Leske on the program.
All right, let's talk a little baseball. We had baseball news this weekend, and maybe we've got some more coming from your Kansas City Royals. We will find out, but we turn to our friend, our buddy. You hear him all throughout the baseball season. David Leske joins us from Inside the Crown, the fine publisher of Inside the Crown. He's brought to you by our good friends at Hen House. Check out all their great specials online right now at henhouse.com. And don't forget, you can pop in there for a quick lunch or dinner. They've got the full meal ready for you. It's something we do in my family. We were over there for lunch. Had the whole family over there for lunch today. Thank you to the wonderful folks that do the sushi there at Hen House. Go to henhouse.com to see all these specials and more. David, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Matt Quatraro gets an extension. Man, I guess John Sherman and the Royals ownership and J.J. Piccolo don't listen to some of the fans that seem to think Matt Quatraro had no idea what he was doing.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that they went with their own evaluations here, but they did, and they decided to keep the guy around who has led a pretty flawed team to 2 straight winning seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Look, let's talk a little bit about him and what this decision means. First of all, I think it's a vocal minority and probably a pretty big minority that thought. I agree. Yeah, that thought I don't want to make more of a handful of people that would call and be like, I don't know what he's doing with this or that, and I think he's fantastic at what he does, and I think this is a great move by the Royals to make it clear that where they're going, and frankly to not let him get sideways. Some of the baseball, the manager salaries out there are climbing up. You got to make sure that you don't have a guy who's like, okay, I don't want to be here, and you end up with like the situation. Now the Brewers are so into their analytics that they let the
Council.
Craig Counsell go to the Cubs because they didn't want to pay him, and they're like, well, we got the numbers. That's the key. So I guess that's the flip side of it, but. What is this? What statement do you think this makes in getting him extended?
I mean, I think it just says, look, this is our guy. We believe that he is the person to lead this team beyond where he's even led them, which is a playoff berth and a 500 record. Come on, that team last year. I don't want to say that they were a horrible team because they weren't. They were perfectly average, perfect mediocre team. They were in playoff contention until like 2 weeks left in the season, and they got back into playoff contention. And the thing, and I know you'd agree with this. I know you've heard the same things. The players just love him, and not because he lets me do anything I want. No, it's because he runs a good clubhouse. He runs a good team, and in baseball in 2026, being the manager is at least half of that. That's at least half of it. It's not. The X's and O's are I don't want to say they're predetermined by the numbers because they're not predetermined, but it's managing the players, like actually managing the people who are the players is so much of the job, and he does a phenomenal job at that. And I got stupid and I looked at comments and the number of people, he blew 12 games with his bullpen use. I think the Royals bullpen could be better. I think it will be better in 2026. They've added strikeouts, all that stuff. We've talked about it on the podcast. We talked about it here. If you look at the 2025 bullpen and you say that is a phenomenal bullpen, then yes, Matt Quatraro underutilized them because they finished 7th in ERA. But I don't think anybody's looking at the 2025 Royals bullpen and saying, oh, my God, that's a great group. How could they have only finished 7th? No, that's a middle-of-the-pack bullpen. And ERA is not the best stat for the future, but it does tell what happened. They had a 3.63 ERA. They were even with Milwaukee. They were a hundredth of a run behind the Rangers. They were tied for the 6th best ERA in baseball in their bullpen. And so if you think Matt Quatraro did a bad job managing that bullpen, then you're telling me that group is the best group of relievers we've ever seen. And I don't think that's the case. So I think they look at the job he did, the Royals I'm talking about, and gave him what they thought he deserved. And I agree. I think he deserved it.
I think what's important to note is that they have a vision for what they want the organization to be, and it's more analytically driven.
Yeah.
It's more proactive, more transactional, and he manages all that. And there's never been a time where he's done something that is not defendable, more than defendable. Like that you haven't, when you listen to him say, "Here's what we were thinking," that you have the right answer. And they just had an off year and had a winning record. Off years for the Royals are 106 losses in recent times. Not
those are even off. Those are just years.
Yes.
Before.
And so, you read everything about, he brings all the departments together. The players love playing. Listen, you mentioned that. The players love playing for him. You know why they like playing for him? Because he makes them better. Like, that's what really makes players happy. You can be a grading pain in the ass to players too, and he clearly isn't that. But they're not really going to like you unless they feel like you're putting them in a position to succeed and be the best player you can be.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I think that your point about there being a reason for everything, I think, is a really good one. And I've said this a few times, and we've talked about this a few times. I don't always agree with everything. I mean, I think there are times he pinch runs too early. I really do. I think because then the bat's out of the lineup moving forward. I agree with that. I think that there are times that I would do something different, but he has the data behind it at the very least. And even there's one specific scenario I can think of, and I don't remember the exact situation that was happening, but Maikel Garcia bunted. Do you remember that game when it was first and second and
yes.
nobody out? And yeah, and everybody hated it. I hated it. I thought it was a bad decision. I didn't like it, but you start to look at it, you go, well, okay, this and this and this and this, and he explained it, and you go, okay, I don't agree with it, but you have rationale to back everything up. It's not just, well, I stuck my hand in my pocket and thought about it for 5 minutes and said, that's what I'm going to do. No, there's a reason, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. The Royals appreciate that, and there's rationale behind everything.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that's what you want out of your manager is that he's on top of what he's doing and puts people in a position to succeed. Everybody wants to play for him. He integrates all the departments. I mean, like when you read the quotes and the comments and listen to what they had to say, I mean, it's like, okay, like this would be the guy that if you are the Dodgers and what's his name? The outfielder, what's their manager's name? I'm trying to blank.
Dave Roberts.
Dave Roberts, yeah. Dave Roberts is like, I'm out. Like, where are you looking? Like, I'm looking at Matt Quatraro. I mean, and 100%. So I think it'll be interesting to see where the Royals get to if there is a big market club. Because, like, I think Counsell was making like $2 or $3 million a year with the Brewers, and the Cubs came in and gave him like 8 or 9, and the Brewers
it was 8.
Like, what would the Royals do if an offer like that came in? Now, I don't think he's gotten that yet because he hasn't. I don't know why. To be honest with you, I really don't. I don't know why one of the teams. Maybe we just haven't had a big money club, have an opening. But like I that is my fear, is that he's taken away for that kind of move.
But the frustration.
Well, you're right with the Dodgers. I mean, think about their president, Andrew Friedman. Where was Andrew Friedman? I actually don't know if they overlap, so that might not be fair. But he was with the Rays. Matt Quatraro came from the Rays. I mean, If the Dodgers go out and win our third straight title this year, and Dave Roberts says, "I'm tired of getting criticized. I'm done. I've won 4 World Series," I think they're going to come knocking. I think you're right, and I think they're going to offer $10 million. And so, I'm curious what the Royals do.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't ever have to, we never hear about it because he's like, I don't want to manage for a club like that.
The weird thing is what bothers me so much with the pushback from the fans about Matt Quatraro's managing ability is that the thing you hear the most, or I heard the most, is the thing that I think he does as well as anybody, and that's handling a staff and the bullpen in game and throughout the season. I was trying to find it and I can't find it, but I went back and looked at the 5 starters on the opening day rotation and how many days of the season they spent on the injured list. And it was unbelievable. There was like a 2-month stretch where 3 of the 5 guys were on the injured list. And then
Rich Hill made multiple starts. So
yeah, there was never a time seemingly after at the middle of June in which at least one of those guys wasn't on the IL and maybe 2. And he managed to tape that together and make this a winning team despite that. to lose the players he lost when he lost them. And the bullpen are like, yeah, he should have gone to this guy. I'm like, how? How could? What's the right move? Every other night I was saying, what's the winning move in this game? And the biggest thing was Lucas Erceg should have pitched every night apparently until he started getting tattered a little bit. But at one point I said that the 5 best pitchers in Royals history, number 3 all time was Lucas Erceg if he had pitched that night. To watch him routinely get beaten up for the thing I thought he did brilliantly, it was just maddening to me.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. I think that I think he and Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove and now hopefully Mike McFerrin and Mitch Tedder, they handle the pitching staff exceptionally well. And you know, it's I think something that is really interesting, that I don't know if there's a correlation, but the Rays had not had consecutive losing seasons until the last 2 years, since the 2 years prior to Matt Quattro's arrival in Tampa. He leaves. They win 99 games, so they had a great year the first year. Now they've had consecutive losing seasons. I'm not saying he's the glue. I think that there's a lot of other factors involved, but I don't think it's a complete coincidence that they have fallen off without him. I think that he's an important guy. And look, I think that there's I don't think he's the best manager in baseball. I think he's top 3rd in the league. I haven't sat down and ranked them, so I don't know where he would rank in that. But I mean, he's been as instrumental as anybody in the Royals going from 56 wins to 2 straight winning seasons.
For sure. Let back up. Who is the best manager in baseball?
I shouldn't have said that because I honestly am not.
Right, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with him not being the best manager in baseball, but then I'm like, well, who is? Who is the consent? Like, if you wanted to tell me Tito Francona, okay. I think Terry Francona's outstanding, but I don't know.
Boat has taken a bad Guardians team to 2 straight division titles.
Right.
I don't think they're any good. So maybe he's up there. Pat Murphy, two guys who just took over. I mean, and Quattro was the 3rd guy who kind of just took over in the last few years. It's a good question. I don't know the answer. Maybe you've given me an idea as the off season just never ends apparently to write about, because I don't know who the best manager is. Actually.
Yeah, I don't either. But I don't know that he's the best. That Matt Quattro's the best manager. You give me the field against any one guy, I'll take the field. I'm probably going to find 2, 3, 4 guys that'll be there. But I guarantee you, I'm not finding 10. I'll tell you that. I mean, I really don't know what the guy doesn't do well. You know, I mean, and I love when they're making a move or they're making a decision, and him and Hoover, they're grabbing notebooks and flipping a page, and they are then going right to where they need to go to look at whatever, to counter whatever move. And, you know, it's like they're always like, I feel like, I know they've expanded Daniel Mack's department, not necessarily Matt Quattro has, but the Royals have. That means John Sherman's, putting more money into that department. And I know that data's getting used, right? Like, and I think he has most of it's all pre-programmed and everything, but there are things that come up, and they always know right what to do. You never see a moment where it's like, whoa, wow, he's probably second-guessing it. Like, they may go look at one thing real quick before they go do it, but I'm just always impressed at how everything seems to be, nothing surprises them. They're prepared for anything that might happen in that night's game.
Yeah, agreed. And I will say the other thing, too, the second biggest complaint, he doesn't show enough fire. I could not care less about a manager showing fire. First of all, if you ever go to a game, I'm sure you guys have noticed this. I think Quattro is talking to the umpires in between 60% of the half innings about something, because he's not going to go out and interrupt the game. He's not going to go out and argue something. But there's a discussion constantly between him. Maybe 60% is high, but every time I look down, he's talking to the home plate umpire, first base umpire. It's actually now that I've said that, anybody who's listening, pay attention at the games, because he is always talking to umpires in between innings. And I don't care that he's not arguing balls and strikes. I just don't care. The players love him. I don't know what people need to hear more. I think Bobby Witt called him a genius. Was that last year or 2 years? I mean, it was before the playoff year. So Bobby Witt called him a genius manager. I mean, I don't care that he's not screaming. The exception is if you don't get called out for obstruction on the bases, if they do not make that call, he will come out and scream. That apparently is his biggest pet peeve, because he has gotten tossed up for that twice. But, I think it's hilarious. That's the thing that sets him off because he is so calm. But that doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I think it's a feature, not a bug. So I'm very happy with Matt Quatraro as Royals manager.
Yeah, and this now has him signed through 29 with an option for 30. Yeah. He was signed just through 27, so you never want to let a manager go into his.
No, I think 26. I think this was the option year. So they're on the option year, and then he has a 3-year contract.
27, 28, 29. Yeah, the 26. I might already be putting myself in 26 and going on to 27. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes, he was going into the final year of his contract, which you never want to have a manager. An organization should never put a manager in that position. I mean, it's, basically every manager should have a 1-year parachute. You're going to fire them with a year to go if you're not going to extend them. Like, that's just the cost of doing business in professional baseball.
The movie taught us that.
Right.
I can't work under this.
Yeah, you can't. Art Howe going into the final year. But you don't. Good organizations that are well run that want to keep their people don't do that. I mean, you are right about that, Moneyball. But I think they were probably already on their way out with Art Howe. That's a part of the movie that they don't get into in there, but. Yeah, I mean, this solidifies him, and now you know the direction you're going, and I think this probably makes it easier to keep signing anybody. If you want to get Vinny Pasquantino signed, I think it gets easier to know. He now knows who his manager is. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that's the next step, right? That's the next thing we need to see is either that or I'm not, entirely sure when J.J. Piccolo's contract would be up.
I think they extended him last winter, because I remember it being a little bit odd that they extended JJ but not Matt Quatraro.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think it was last winter during the season. So my guess is they're kind of running concurrently now.
Yeah, and so now the only, I think, as far as this goes, like the only other candidate is that if they're going to suddenly give Chris Bubic a deal. I mean, it's Bubic and then potentially extending Vinny Pasquantino. They don't have to, but those would be the other contracts to work on now that they've filled the hitting coach roles, and then of course anything that they do on the field as far as a trade or something like that. But as far as just in-house business, that would be about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, somebody mentioned to me the other day, and I hadn't thought about it, but it's interesting. I wouldn't do it, but it's interesting. Do you want to talk about Carter Jensen and lock him up for a little bit as a little less expensive? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that I would do it, but that's like the 0.1% that isn't covered in what you said. But yeah, I think that's about it. They're in pretty good shape right now.
Yeah. Do you think that they will get something done for another outfielder?
I'm going to say yes because I'm more than 50% yes. I'm not 100% yes. They're 100% going to do that. I'm not there. There's too much smoke out there. I feel like they clearly don't want to be done, and I think that's important. They're satisfied enough, but they want more. I mean, they offered Adolis Garcia whatever they offered him after they'd made the trades. I think that they will get something done. They might have to move some money around a little bit, which they've got plenty of options to move money around, because I think to get something done, it's probably going to involve Bubic, which clears $6 to $8 million. We don't know yet. Actually, we'll know pretty soon. The filing deadline is Thursday, so we'll have an idea of what the salaries are in a few days. John Schreiber, somewhere around $4 to $5 million. That's an easy move. Schreiber's kind of the same as Quatraro. People complain about him. There are 29 other teams that would trade for him, just a matter of what they would trade. So I think they can move some money there. But yeah, I think they do get something done. But I also think that if they went to spring training with this roster, they'd go, look, we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. And to circle back, they know they'll figure it out because they know they have their guy.
Yeah, I know we talked about this on our Kaufman Corner podcast last week about the payroll and where it is, and you've pointed out all along, and you did it last year, and you were right that, okay, they say that we're kind of where we are, and then they add about 10%. So you've said, well, when they say like we're kind of at our number, then just plan on about 10%. What do you think that they actually can go to? Right? Like, I mean, I know J.J. Piccolo has phrased it as, look, if we get an opportunity, we go to Mr. Sherman, he will evaluate it and decide if it's something that he's willing to push the payroll on. That's kind of the standard answer. And it seems like that, J.J.'s gone to him a couple of times each year, and like, hey, this will make us better, and he's gotten the green light. But what do you think the top of the payroll possibilities are for this team?
Yeah, probably, the 10% more, which puts them at about 155, 160 maybe. Which I don't remember. Curtis, you might have it in front of you. Do you remember where they were in 2017? Because that was their top high water mark for payroll.
They got to 164, and nowadays some of them measure it with the health benefits and the 40, and is it the 40 or the 26 man and all that. But I remember that high water mark came in 17, and I think it was like 165, and they were up to 11th in the rankings.
Yeah, they were pretty high. I think that's about where they can go. The one thing, and this gets into a whole can of worms that we don't need to get into, but at some point, they believe that they are going to have new revenue streams coming in, right? I mean, and that's relatively soon. 2031 is not that far away. I mean, I was talking to somebody. I said, look, they signed a free agent for 7 years. The last 2 years of that deal is at a new stadium. I mean, and with an entertainment district around it that theoretically will be bringing in revenue for them. So I wonder a little bit if that plays a role. Probably not yet because it just hasn't happened. But I don't know. I think 155, 160. I'm looking right now. 2017, COTS has the year-end 40-man at 153.6, and the collective bargaining tax at 185, 8th in baseball. So there's some room. But I think it would have to be the right player. They're not going to go out and get 5 guys who are just fine. I think it would be, all right, it's mid-February and Bo Bichette hasn't signed. We're going to give him 5 years and $125 million, and we're just going to deal with it. Something like that.
You think could happen. See, I don't think that can happen. I think we're at a point now where Chris Bubich has to go.
Well,
like
I
in
think
anything you get, he has to go to clear some money off the books.
Well, they're at about 140. So, no, they couldn't do that with – but I think that they would probably – like I said, there are easy moves to be made. Teams will trade for Bailey Falter. I know nobody believes it, but $3 million for a guy who can give you 25 starts, somebody's going to trade for that. I know they will. You're not going to get anything, but they will trade. They will take the salary off your hands. They can find some wiggle room to get to where they need to be. I think you're probably they're going to end 145, 150. That range is my guess.
What I think is interesting is they've got a TV deal with a company that's going broke again. And baseball. That's
just a perennial story, though. That's what it's going to be from now on.
Well, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. If people didn't hear that the FanDuel TV, which FanDuel just is an advertiser with it. It's what's that? Big Time Sports or Home Run Sports or Grand Slam Sports. I can't remember. Diamond Sports. Diamond Group
I
Sports.
Diamond sold it to some. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Whatever it is. It's Sinclair Broadcasting. Whatever they've dubbed this company. Anyway. They defaulted on a Cardinal payment, on a payment to the St. Louis Cardinals. And I rambled off all the teams that they handle in the NBA and in baseball. And they defaulted on a number of them, and several of them left. They redid deals with teams, the Royals being one of them. And Major League Baseball has said that they're ready to step in. If these deals go under, then Major League Baseball will pick it up, which is where they want to go anyway. But my point is, like, if they go under, the Royals aren't getting more money. Right,
no,
like
true.
It has to be. I'm sure it's coming out of their central fund, and I don't know. Does Major League Baseball make them whole on that contract? Like basically, Major League Baseball guarantees all these deals. I can't imagine it. I know that ownership has had a cash call at least once, where they've gone out and said, "Look, we're in the red. Like you want to keep owning your 4% or 10% or whatever it is, you got to give this much."
Main Street Sports Group.
Is that what it is now?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, God, whatever. Okay. Anyway. And so they've gone out and done it. So, like, and they're trying to get a new stadium deal done, which is not without cost, right? Yeah. I mean, you got to pay lobbyists. There are things you got to do, surveys, and pay the architectural firms to come up with the stadium, and God only knows what all costs are in that. So, like, I think it is pretty impressive I think we should all, as Royals fans, like, because, I mean, you just say it offhandedly, like, they can go up 10%. But they're going up 10% while they don't have the most stable of grounds and are hemorrhaging cash as they try to find their new home. Like, I think we should take a moment, not just John Sherman, but all of the owners in this group, because I think all of them are either in Kansas City or have strong roots in Kansas City, that this local ownership has done is doing a pretty good thing when this payroll is getting bumped up like this in these current economic times. Like the Twins wanted to sell, they dumped half the roster. Like the Royals could be right now like, well, when we get a new stadium, we'll get. I remember the I had a Guardians fan who was a friend of mine at Syracuse in the early 90s. And he said, coming alive in 95. Like, that was his big plan. And that ended up being about when they did. And I'm like, why are you saying? He's like, well, they stripped everything because they're building the ballpark and they didn't want to put anything into the payroll. But now they traded all the veterans for young guys and they've got a bunch of talent. And so I think we're going to be good in 95. Well, that's what the Guardians did back then. I'm like, it would be understandable if this organization said, strip it all down, run it bare bones until we bring in the new moneymaker of a stadium. And they're not doing that. I mean, I do think we need a minute. They're paying Matt Quatraro more money. He's an accomplished manager. They could save a couple million probably right there by letting him go someplace else. You know, I think, you know, the ownership part of the equation here deserves, you know, John Sherman and the whole group deserve kind of a moment of appreciation.
I completely agree. And I mean, look at the Matt Strom deal. That thing, from my understanding, yeah, they talked. It came together fairly quickly, and they didn't have the money for it. The JJ didn't have the money for it, I should say. My guess is there's a JJ Piccolo budget, and then after that you have to ask. And I think that he'd reached the top of his. This is my budget. Now I've got to ask. It sounded like there was a very quick yes. And I mean, I know it's only quote unquote only. It's a lot of money to us, but $7.5 million, 7.75, whatever it was. But that's not the first time. We talked about this earlier. It's not the first time it's happened. Carlos Estevez was the same way last year. He's hanging out there. Do we have an extra $10 million? Yeah, sure. Not even a question, really. So I'm 100% agree with you. They deserve a lot of credit for. They could easily be like many other ownership groups, and they have not been.
Yeah, it's been impressive. All right, we're talking to David Lesky here on the program. You can read his great work at Inside the Crown. David, Final Four time. Let me start you with this. Does Vinny Pasquantino at any time get an extension with the Kansas City Royals?
I'm going to say yes because I'm feeling festive in this time of year. I'll say he does.
Okay. Who do the Royals acquire? If you had to, pick, you mentioned there's a lot of smoke out there. Who do the Royals acquire?
They love Jarren Duran. I think the Red Sox come back from Cole Reagans, and I think they find something around Chris Bubic. And so Jarren Duran.
Bubic for Duran ends up being the deal. Okay.
Bubic and for Duran.
Okay. How about a New Year's resolution? You got one?
No, actually. I don't. Look, I'm going to break it. So if I don't make it, I have nothing to break. So I didn't make one.
It's not for others to clean the equipment at the gym, as I saw you lamenting in your latest Inside the Crown.
I actually almost saw a fight at the gym. So, and I wasn't involved in it.
Impossible to find.
I stopped in my tracks. I was like, I'm watching this. Yeah. Do you popcorn? Anybody?
Was it a couple of New Year's resolution fatties in there fighting over, a chip that fell on the ground or something? Or
there were a couple people over cleaning. It was before New Year's actually, and it was two guys who definitely didn't think I belonged at the gym. One guy just got it from a machine, didn't wipe it down. The other guy confronted him. Apparently, he'd seen it like throughout the whole gym, and they were jawing. And I like I said, I stopped what I was doing. It was entertaining for me. That's why I go to the gym. I go to the gym to watch other people fight.
These are the two largest people I'll ever see fight in person.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
That is, like they most gyms, don't they still have like you got to have a towel policy? Like they give you a towel when you walk in, like isn't it like just kind of known?
This one doesn't, but that doesn't mean that others don't. Okay. But yeah, it was.
Some gyms will have stations.
They'll
have towels you can pick
Cleaning
up.
station, yeah. I think you should have a towel every time you walk in. There's a gym in Surprise that I sometimes will bother to saunter into when I'm down for spring training, and they have like the mandatory. Here's your towel. They have a stack of towels. You take your towel. I'm like, this is nice. This is nice. You have no excuse, to not police your own equipment. All right, right now, what are you feeling like for the Royals record? We'll get at some official prediction, after spring training. But what do you ballpark me right now?
I think they're a little better. I'll go 84 and 78. But as you know, I'm always if I say 84, I feel like they can get to 94 or go down to 70. So,
yeah.
But 84.
Okay. I'll take it. David, you're the man. We appreciate it. We encourage everybody to go read Inside the Crown. His great work is up there. I know he did a roster projection recently. Let's see talking about some of the trades out there, payroll, a lot of great stuff. Go check out Inside the Crown. David, we appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Oh, fantastic music selection. Our end of the hour answer before yesterday. When was the last time that an entire NFL division was in action on the same day without scoring an offensive touchdown? The AFC West was over yesterday. There's really nothing you can put into it. It was 1988. 1988, all 5 teams in the AFC East combined for 27 points, all on field goals. November 20th, 1988.
That is impressive.
Yes. The AFC West went over yesterday.
Yeah, that's not easy to do.
No.
9133-810-810. We'll open the phone lines back up. Our thanks to David Lesky joining us, talking about the Matt Quatrero extension, which I think is richly deserved. I think we both agree on that. And, before we know, we're going to be back at spring training.
Yep.
They better, if someone's going to make a deal, get the damn thing done.
He talked about that today. We'll hear that later. There's still things there's a little lull around Christmas, JJ said, and maybe it picks up. He says, we'll never stop trying to improve the team. So I would anticipate there's probably one more signing, maybe not a big name, but they're probably not done yet. But it is kind of weird. We were discussing during shift change with Jason and Sterling that we were used to doing the Chiefs wrap up and then,
turn around and go to spring
going
training
right
like
to Arizona.
Later, yeah.
In fact, was it 2 years ago when they won or 3 years ago when they won in Glendale? And it's just like, why don't we just stay? You're gonna drive up the road. You're gonna be here in a week.
Yeah.
And a little different, but
yeah, it is when the season wraps up the way it did for the Chiefs. I mean,
now we know how everyone else feels.
But I do think it's important to note for the Chiefs that they do now have more time to dive into the draft. They have more time to self-analyze. I mean, let's go over a couple of things here. First of all, as head coaches are being fired, the Falcons fired not only Raheem Morris but also the general manager, Terry Fontenot, and Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. Just a rundown if you're just getting into your car. Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. Raheem Morris, he was the first one. He got it like 5 minutes after he shook the owner's hand. Yeah. In the on the sideline or in the locker room, wherever that was, where there was like bro hugs with everybody, and like 5 minutes later, you're out. Back-to-back 8 and 9 seasons. They got 19 and 25. What did he go? Would he go 3 and 7 as an interim or something? How did he get to 19 and 25?
I don't know.
That's 44. 44 games. Did he have an interim for 10 games and then keep the job or something?
Morris served as Atlanta's interim for the final 11 games in 2020.
So, anyway, 19 and 25 in 3 seasons. He was the first one out. Stefanski, Jonathan Gannon at Arizona. That thing never had traction.
It looked bad.
Did they go to the playoffs his first year?
With Gannon, no.
No, okay. He never did make the playoffs.
No.
He's out. And then I'm forgetting who's
Pete
Carroll.
And Pete Carroll. Man, watching Pete Carroll on the sidelines, did that not look like a guy who would did you notice he was talking to no one? He was just pacing up and down the sidelines. I'm like,
chewing his gum like he always does.
He always does, but usually there was some interaction and is he just the highest paid guy with the best seat in the building? Because what's he doing over here?
Yeah.
You got to interact with somebody, don't you?
That thing.
Not even on a headset.
No.
Right.
I mean, what would you say you do here?
That thing looked bad from the start. One of the more inexplicable results of the season was when the Raiders knocked off the Patriots early in the year. You thought, maybe he's got.
Wasn't that week 1? Was it week 1?
Yeah, it was week 1.
Was it week 1?
That again, in classic
redonkulous.
Mike Vrabel being the new Bill Belichick, the Patriots would start 0-1, 1-1, 2-2 all the time, and then you look up 12-4, and that's exactly what they were this year.
At New England 20-13.
Then New England goes on a 10-game win streak,
and the Raiders lost.
What did New England finish up? 13-4.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, they were 13-3,
and then the
after
Raiders
losing to the Raiders.
The Raiders went 1-14 until this past week. Eek. And the only win in that stretch was against Tennessee, who was equally crappy, just about equally crappy.
New England and Denver, both 14-3.
14-3.
Yeah. Broncos won.
So I'm sorry. So they were 14-2.
Yeah,
I did that backwards. They were 14-2 after opening with a loss to the god awful number 1 pick having Las Vegas Raiders.
And that was the
number 1 pick having Coach firing.
That was the
Las
loss.
Vegas Raiders.
If they could have taken that away and lost to somebody else, that was the loss that gave Denver the tiebreak because it was common games. Denver was 6-0, and New England was 5-1. The loss to the Raiders on opening day caused them to not get the first round bye.
And in that Week 1 game, the Raiders lost Brock Bowers. He got injured during that game, and they still won it.
Wow, what a bizarre season.
Remember when we were going to do our draft of college coaches? We were going to hire college coaches. We were going to go, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to take turns hiring coaches just to show how, well, why didn't so-and-so hire so-and-so? Well, because. And then if a job came open because we hired somebody, then we'd put them into the mix. We're going to do that. Wouldn't you love to know how Mike Vrabel ended up? I'm sure Vrabel seems to be so smart. Like, I really enjoyed talking to him at the American Century Championships in Tahoe, and he's clearly a fantastic coach. But I think he got fired at Tennessee. Like, do you think that they needed to, the Patriots weren't sure about Vrabel, and a year of not coaching made him go, yeah, he's the guy? Like, why didn't they hire him? Because they hired
they had Gerard Mayo.
Yeah, Gerard Mayo for a year.
Or did he just? Or did he just say, "I don't want to. I'm taking"?
I think there's no chance that they were like, "We're not sure about Vrabel," and then they became sure.
Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
I think they wanted Vrabel, and he's like, "I'm getting paid for a year.
Yeah,
I'll go sit on the beach."
Because I've been hearing people say that's what. Maybe it's Stefanski. What he should sit back and wait for the next job, but he wasn't. He's not going to be quite as
I don't think
sought after as Vrabel. Vrabel had the much better track record.
I listen. Stefanski may be twice the coach that Mike Vrabel is, and the Cleveland Browns are just that bad, and that they could suppress anyone's abilities. Maybe history will tell us that later for Kevin Stefanski, but at least the results.
Yeah.
I mean, he has 2 Coach of the Year awards.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Again, the worst award to ever win.
Yeah.
But I think Mike Vrabel, what he did in Tennessee, was much more impressive than what Stefanski would take last place schedules and get him to 10 wins, and then he did beat Pittsburgh with the remains of Ben Roethlisberger in a playoff game.
But Vrabel is not only the successes, but you see all the other things about him, and it's clear that the players adore him, and with good reason. You've seen the shots of him like in the tunnel with Tennessee and kind of waiting for a certain player who had a rough game and meeting him there and talking to him, and you're just like, what player? There isn't a player in the league that wouldn't love to play for Mike Vrabel because the kind of person he is and the kind of coach he is. But it sucks. They're going to be really good for a little while.
But to bring it back around, like if you're, I kind of remember Vrabel's name being thrown around with the Raiders. But if you were sitting out there and you're like, Vrabel's out there, so's Pete Carroll. And you didn't go, well, we better give $18 million a year to Mike Vrabel because we're not going down that road.
Yeah.
Like, this is every team. I would love to know the timeline and how many teams are like, listen, Mike, we really want you. He's like, no, I'm going to New England. I really want to one day know how that came about. Because if you're an owner and you could have gone after Mike Vrabel and you didn't, and you ended up with anybody else, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You're just a buffoon.
Meanwhile, Pete Carroll.
See the New York Jets.
Pete Carroll could have had a situation where he could have taken this year and rebuilt for the future, and instead he tried to win by going out and getting Geno Smith.
Well,
and he ended up being
exactly. That's
what
the
number 1 overall pick anyway. The franchise is no further ahead than they were a year ago, and they got the number 1 pick.
No, agree.
Now their star pass rusher's pissed.
Completely blown. Oh, they have.
Oh, he's always pissed.
Yeah,
that is true.
Have you? I mean, I heard I didn't hear it live, but I've talked to Cofield about how Jim Gray holds influence on the Jim Gray. Yeah, that Jim Gray, the slow talking broadcaster that does a podcast with Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady and Jim Gray, like that's the other thing. I can't wait for Troy Aikman to go, drop diarrhea on the Dolphins. That's not working either. Tom Brady as a flyby influencer on the owner. Sucked. Like, is that what did somebody in Miami looked at it and went, Tom Brady's in on all the meetings on his broadcasting. We got to get that too because it works so well in Vegas. So I can't wait for Troy Aikman and his tanning and I shouldn't say about the, I'm not going to make fun of him. I'm just going to say I don't understand why he always has bloodshot eyes.
Yes.
I legitimately wonder, is it a condition?
Yeah.
It might be. And so for that, I hope you get it corrected. But just, I don't like what he says often.
Yeah.
And so I have to guard myself from being a bad person. Don't make fun of people's appearances. It's not what we do. But it's not going to work in Miami. It's not. Oh, I'm going to keep making a $20 million over here, and I'll take $5 million from the Dolphins, and I'll do this a little bit. Like, rich people can be really dumb.
Yes, they have too many options.
Really dumb.
The program with Soren Petro.
Hell no. Okay, that answered your question.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Chris Oladokun did not deliver for me, a couple of weeks ago on the higher on the passing yards. I really thought Oladokun was going to make it go, but I learned my lesson. I was back at it with Underdog. Listen, if you love football, the playoffs are here. College football playoffs are here. Take advantage of it, right? With the playoffs, the best place to get in on all the gridiron action is with Underdog. Because you can make entries and win money right now in Missouri. Playing on Underdog is super easy. Choose your favorite players. Go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. Get them right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. But you got to have the app. Download the app today. Use promo code SOREN, S-O-R-E-N. Score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code SOREN, S-O-R-E-N. The kickers, that's one of the things that I was living on, was 1.5 Bucker higher on the 1.5 field goals. Gimme, layup. You knew it was going to end up being a field goal fest. Listen, if you love football, then you're going to love the Underdog app. Have even more fun. Download it today. Like I said, use the promo code SOREN, S-O-R-E-N. Score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5 with the promo code SOREN, S-O-R-E-N. It's an Underdog. Make plays, win money.
Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Red Monday is brought to you by Greenlight Dispensary, the unofficial sponsor of Kansas City's favorite football team. Make the switch to Greenlight for unmatched first-time customer benefits and the best voted loyalty program in Missouri. The best cannabis deals always at greenlightdispensary.com.
When you're at the game, you trust your team to perform. At Bison State Bank, you can trust us to deliver results for your money. Right now, our money market accounts are earning up to 4.30% annual percentage yield, helping your savings grow faster. Plus, competitive mortgage refinance options that can lower your monthly payment. Don't get stuck on the sidelines. Visit BisonStateBank.com or stop by today to see how much more your money can do for you. At Bison State Bank, our game plan is simple: trust, integrity, and excellence. Let's help you win financially.
All right, wrapping things up here in hour number 2 of the program. We will get to the 2-minute drill. We'll go around the country, talking to the people, covering the stories where they're happening. Interesting locales, exotic locales even, one might say. Indianapolis, ooh. Miami, that's exotic.
Very.
There's some crap that happens in Miami. Dallas, Cincinnati, we will be talking about a lot of NFL football, some college football as well. By the way, we'll talk to Trent Green later, but was Indiana already like the favorite to win next year's championship? If they don't win this year's, they're already like killing it in the portal?
Yes.
Like, when did that, like, talk about an unbelievable turn of events. Indiana, football icon, leaving Alabama in its wake as it is now the title town
They're
for
the
college
heavy now.
football. God, they're feeling like it right now. 2-minute drill is coming up next.
All right, how many sub-500 teams have made the NFL playoffs? Brought to you by Nick and Jake's.
Right, it is. Second half of the program begins right now with the 2-minute drill. We're going around the country, talking to people, covering the stories where they're happening. It's brought to you by our good friends at Joslin's Jewelry. Kansas City's best jeweler is Joslin's Jewelry. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. Man, don't screw that up. If you go to Joslin's Jewelry, you'll be a hero. Even better yet, why don't you take her to Joslin's Jewelry? Let her pick exactly what it is she wants. But if you don't want to do that, you want it to be a surprise, the experts at Joslin's Jewelry can help you out. Do you know some of Gary's staff has been with him for 30 years? They're jewelers. That's what they do. They weren't in the mortgage game 3 weeks ago. They're the best jewelry store in Kansas City. Voted #1 jewelry store in Kansas City. Find them at 95th and Antioch. Southeast corner. Right now, find them online at joslinsjewelry.com. Let's get the drill started in Indianapolis. Jake Query, 107.5 The Fan is there. Jake, how are you, buddy?
I am well, thanks. And the Colts are actually on their way right now to 95th and Antioch. It's their only chance of getting a ring anytime soon.
I like it. I like it. I see what you did right there. But they've decided that Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen are still the guys to take them there. Maybe they'll be the ones driving the car, I guess, over to 95th and Antioch. Any surprise that they're going to stay the course with both GM and head coach?
Nah, because everywhere else you say Happy New Year last week, and in Indianapolis we just say New Year, same as the last and the last and the last. Look, reality is this, the Colts are in a tough spot. They're kind of stuck in that mediocre vat right in the middle of the NFL that's tough to get out of. And, Chris Ballard getting 78-1. They have a playoff win. They have seen every other team in the AFC South win multiple titles since the last time that the Colts did it. The natives here are restless. People want change, and they want it out. But at the same time, I do understand that you have a new owner and CEO in Collier Gordon, who, of course, ascended to that role with the passing of her father. And I do think, and I don't mean this to simplify it, but I do think that there is the possibility that there was safety for her and familiarity, and the fact that she's still learning kind of the role. That's a big rock of the apple cart to do in year one of this new role for her. And so maybe there's some, I guess, comfort in having somebody around her and nearby that is in Chris Ballard, but it's going to have to be. He's in the last year of his contract, and if they don't make the playoffs next year, then he's going to have to be out. I just don't see how you can do it any other way than that. People here aren't happy, but at the same time, they were 8-2. Daniel Jones got hurt. She's resting on that, and we will see whether or not judging 9 years by a first half of a season this year is the right thing to do.
What does your gut tell you happens with the quarterback, Daniel Jones?
I think Daniel Jones will be back, partially because, let's face it, coming off of the Achilles injury that he had, I don't know what what are his options, right? And I don't mean that. He played well for them, no question. He started to show a little bit of regression, I thought, once defenses got aggressive with him, and Pittsburgh kind of exposed that with blitzing him. But I do think that he'll be back. I think he wants to come back. The question then becomes, is he going to be the same player? Part of his escapability in the pocket is what allowed him to be the quarterback that he was. He's coming off the Achilles. They feel like the timeline indicates that he should be ready to go for camp, but then does that mean that he's going to be ready to play week one? Then becomes the question of who's his backup, and I think it's probably Riley Leonard. But if you feel like you're going to have somebody to start for you for a game or two until Daniel Jones is full song, then maybe they go out and get a veteran that's been waived at the end of the camp period. So a lot of question marks. They don't have, keep in mind, a first-round pick for the next 2 years. They sent both those for Sauce Gardner. So it's probably going to have to be Daniel Jones, to be honest with you.
And with Travarius Ward considering retirement, at least that's the report, having Sauce Gardner now feels like a little bit more of a necessity, doesn't it?
It does, but at the same time, then you look at it and you go, well, how many teams win with question at quarterback, question at the other side of the corner? If you have an elite corner, that's great. But so too did the Jets, right? And they won 2 games before they got rid of, or traded away Sauce Gardner. So look, he's a wonderful player. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, and Travarius Ward, you're right. He had multiple concussions this year, and he was open about the fact that he is still dealing with headaches. I would totally understand it and respect it if he decided that means that it is time to move along. And then they have other question marks too. Nick Cross played well at safety, but he's a free agent. So they've got a lot of areas that they need to address. But obviously the quarterback is the big one with Daniel Jones, and I think that's where you turn because it's a dry year in terms of free agency as well.
All right, the Indiana Hoosiers. First of all, before I get to the game, how about what they're doing in the portal? Like, is Cignetti this good, or are the coffers that big? How are they dominating the portal the way they are?
It's twofold, okay? I will tell you this, and I'll be brief. I was talking to somebody back in August that was down in Bloomington, and they were talking with the athletic director, and Coach Cignetti walked in with a sheet of paper that Scott Dolson, the athletic director, had asked for and said, here, this is what you're asking for. And Scott Dolson said, I thought you were going to give me this in like a month. And Cignetti said, no, why would I not already have it ready? I've had this way ahead of time. It was a list of players that they thought would be entering the portal at the end of this season and what they think their expected NIL would be to get those players. Now, that's not to say that all 50 of those players would become available. That's not to say it's players they talk to. But Kurt Cignetti is that far ahead of the game of thinking ahead and being prepared. And they were well aware of where they wanted to go within the portal. That's why Indiana's in the position they're in. If you watch them against Alabama, there were plays that Alabama ran where Indiana was anticipating before Alabama even was running it better than Alabama was what was going to happen. I don't mean that to overstate it, but preparation is key with what Kurt Cignetti is doing. And they had a list of who they wanted. They were aggressive about going after them as soon as the portal opened. And, yes, they have big booster money. Part of that came allegedly and apparently from Mark Cuban, but it is also the largest active alumni base in the United States, and it is people that now realize that football is the way you got to go in order to make money in today's Division I athletics, and they've invested in it in Indiana.
All right, tell me the game. Ducks +4 against the Hoosiers. The Hoosiers beat them earlier. I think it's kind of a tough draw. Always difficult to beat a team twice in the same season, or am I wrong? Do they have the Ducks figured out, and they shouldn't have any problem the same way they didn't have any problem last game?
No, I think it'll be a great game. It was a great game in Eugene, and Oregon actually had a pick six that Indiana rebounded from, and then late Indiana did what they do, which is then not make mistakes moving forward, and they waited for Oregon to have a turnover, and Indiana pounced on that and took advantage. But Kurt Cignetti was open about the fact that both teams have changed a lot since then. Oregon has matured, but so too has Indiana. Indiana's preparation is just so impressive, and I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm not trying to be the guy representing Indiana, but it is remarkable. Look, they beat Oregon and Eugene. They beat Ohio State. They beat Alabama. It's going to be tough. Oregon's a fabulous team. Lanning's a heck of a coach. They are like mirrors of one another in terms of their preparation. Going to be a great game. I think it's going to probably come down to whichever team is able to hold on to the football late. But at this point, if you're not bought in on buying into or believing that Indiana has a chance, I don't know what to tell you. They're 14-0, and I think it'll be a great game. I do think Indiana will win, but it wouldn't shock me if they don't. But at the same time, I'm done selling them short because I've done it too many times.
Yeah, I think it's just the opposite. I think everybody is now riding the bandwagon, and you know they're no longer a hunter. They're now the hunted, and it's a different role for them to play.
That's possible.
It'll be interesting. It's a great story. We love watching it. That's for sure. Jay Query in Indianapolis. Great stuff, buddy. We appreciate it. Have a great week, my friend.
All right, guys. Happy New Year.
Orlando Alzagari, the Big O Radio Show on YouTube. You can check it out there in Miami, Florida. Orlando, how are you, my friend?
I am doing exceptional. Cannot complain, except for about the Miami Dolphins, but that's a whole other thing.
Well, let's start there. Troy Aikman going to consult for the Dolphins. They're without a general manager right now. He's going to help them out with the GM hiring process, I guess. And what else? Is he helping them out on whether or not to keep Mike McDaniel? Could that still come down? What do we know with where they're going to go and what Troy Aikman's going to be doing?
First of all, don't ask me to try to figure out the mind of Stephen Ross, okay? That now you're asking me a little too much here. This is the guy that extended Joe Philbin for no reason at all, extended Mike McDaniel for no reason at all, but it just looks, I mean, all the candidates that they've asked to interview, 3 of them are from San Francisco, where Mike is from. So this kind of all seems, and the NFL Network, which is kind of, the league's arm network, is reporting that he's coming back. So it kind of seems like they're trying to find, like I've been saying here for many years now, maybe 2 decades now, the Dolphins really like to play human Jenga. And that's kind of what they're doing now. So they're going to slide another block in there instead of the one they took out. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to go find a GM that can work with Mike McDaniel, which these are mistakes that are constantly made with the Miami Dolphins for well over 20 years now, and it never works out. And and the old man refuses to make a complete house cleaning. And when you look at the people that are, it's Troy Aikman, and then it's Ross there, it's his son-in-law, Danny Silman, it's Tom Garfinkel, who has done a marvelous job as team president building up that property. For those of you that don't know, the Dolphin Stadium has a Dolphin Stadium. It houses the Hurricanes. It has a hospital that is built on the site. The practice facility is on the site. The tennis tournament that's been here forever, was moved onto that property. They've got an F1 race there. They've got some of the biggest music festivals there, and then constantly concerts and everything. They are the 16th most valuable franchise in the world when it comes to just NFL revenue. Okay, you add everything else, they are printing money more than the government prints money. Okay, that's how this thing is just exploding. So, but the people that run it, they have no idea what to do on the football side. So you got the owner, you got his son-in-law, you got Tom Garfinkel building up that stuff, you got Brandon Shore, the numbers guy, and Marino really doesn't go around the league or anything. He's kind of just hanging out. It's not like Aikman. Aikman is the only legit guy that goes to all the teams, like and they meet with all the teams, and he's there every week in different cities. And so the guy really knows what he's doing, but he's only going to give an opinion. They already have an agenda. So that's the problem. He's going into a group that has an agenda, and that's the bad part about this whole situation for the Miami Dolphins and for its fans. It just doesn't look like it's being done right, because the people that are in the building, they need to all be gone pretty much. You need to bring in a football czar. You know what? I give Wayne Huizenga, the late Wayne Huizenga, a lot of credit. He brought in Jimmy Johnson. It didn't work out, but he brought in his football czar. Then he brought in Saban and Parcells. They didn't work out, but he knew, hey, man, I'm a billionaire, I'm a businessman, but I'm not a football guy. Let me go get a football guy. You know, the Heat went and got Pat Riley. The rest is history. The Panthers went and got Bill Zito. The rest is history. You got to go get your person and step aside. Too many non-football people are making these decisions, and that's why it continues to be a disaster.
What will they decide to do with Tua? I know he was asked if he was hoping for a fresh start. Quote, that would be dope. I would be good with it, he said. What does that mean?
I think he wants to get the hell out of here like any other player, and he's got his money guaranteed. So, he can just say, I don't want to be here. And I think they're going to have to part ways with him, because if not, it's just going to be a distraction for the entire season coming up. And you're really not going to use him. You're going to move forward with a new general manager and a new quarterback for your coach, who's a failed guy for 4 years. So I think they're going to do the whole painful financial thing and have to part ways with him, and they'll do it like on June 1st. It'll be something like that, so they can split up the huge cap hit overall. Because if you're going to carry the mess going into next season, that's another albatross on you as you're trying to win or turn something around.
The NFL is always king, so I don't think we buried the lead, but it is big news. The U, 3-point favorites versus Ole Miss in the semifinals of the college football playoffs. A lot of confidence now. Not just, I'm sure, Miami's very confident about what they're doing, but now nationally they're starting to get a lot of love. I don't think it's shocking that they're favored by 3 against Ole Miss, but they're not favored by 7 or 10 or 13. Or do they have it wrong? Should there be even more confidence, and should they be a bigger favorite against Ole Miss?
No, I think that's fair, man. You got to give Ole Miss. Come on, man. Chambliss is a hell of a quarterback. Lacey, they got talent. They're an SEC team, man. Come on, man. This is a hell of a team. They've accomplished a lot, and they're overcoming a lot, without Kiffin. So I give them a lot of love. And right now the Canes deserve to be barely favorites. I get it, and I think they're actually the better team, but not by much. And I think it's the physicality that is going to make the difference at the line of scrimmage. That's where it's changed here for Miami. They have not been that team for 20 years. And let me give Mario Cristobal some credit, okay? Because Mario Cristobal is a guy that I've been worried about. I wanted him here, but one of the things that I've learned about him from Oregon to here, he has a conservative approach. Well, after the SMU and Louisville losses, it looks like he kind of got off his coaches, and he's let Shannon Dawson coach. And they have opened the offense up, and they're trying a lot more things. And I think that's one of the things that's really helped them in this last game against Ohio State, that 4th and 2. Man, Mario in those kind of positions is either kicking a field goal or punting, playing playing the position game. To me, I got to give him a lot of credit because it looks to me like he's kind of said, if I don't cut this conservative stuff, I'm not going to win these kind of games. And I think he's letting his coaches, especially on the offensive side, let it rip. And I think that that's a really, really good thing going into this game. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But I give Miami the edge, not because I'm a homer or anything like that. I just think when it comes to the line of scrimmage, Miami is the best team that's left in college football at that line of scrimmage.
All right. They're going to get a chance to prove it, that's for sure. Orlando Alzagari, great stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate it. Happy New Year. Have a great week, my friend.
Happy New Year. Anytime, guys. Be good out there.
Alec Medford, 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, Texas is next. Alec, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing well. What do we think? 7-9-1 in his first season. Brian Schottenheimer, what kind of grade do we give him for this first year?
I'd say somewhere in the C-plus range is fair just because the record is going to be the one thing that sticks out all the time. But he definitely did leave an impact in year one in terms of what he expects from his players and the message that he's going to send whenever things aren't going the way that he had hoped. I think he's handled it with grace. I think that he's handled the microscope that he is under very, very well. Obviously, one of the top offenses in the NFL as he is the play caller, so there wasn't too much to complain about on that end. It was really just the people around him, a.k.a. the defensive coordinator, that kind of lowers his grade a little bit, but he handled everything very well considering the challenges that come with the job of being the head coach of the Cowboys.
Yeah, what is the future of Matt Eberflus?
Yeah, it's interesting because you start to hear the rumblings that it's probably one and done for him, and then Jerry Jones after the game starts talking about, maybe it's a personnel issue. So he always leaves you hanging and always leaves you questioning. But, if I had to put money on it today, I would say that probably in the next couple weeks, Matt Eberflus is looking for a new job, and he won't be with the team anymore.
All right, what does this quote mean? I read this. Jerry Jones apparently before the game, quote, "I think we can do some things to maybe make as dramatic a difference as we could have in a long time." What does that mean?
Well, that means, one, I got to get you guys to click back in and check in on the team and make sure that something dramatic isn't happening. Just keep people guessing and keep people clicking on the headlines. But at the same time, you start to get a sense the past couple weeks that Jerry might have woken up a little bit in terms of the personnel wasn't exactly what he thought it was going into the season. And we knew that the defense was going to be a little bit more patchwork than the offense, but we didn't think it was going to be this bad, right? And I think a lot of it actually got reflected on the fact that maybe your two offensive tackles made your defense look a lot better than it actually is in training camp. So I think they were just kind of caught off guard by how bad this defense really was. And, talking to some people after the game yesterday, I'm starting to feel like you could see upwards of 5 to 7 new starting players on that defense next year because they really don't like what they have right now. So I think it could be actually spending a couple dollars on a name that you've actually heard of before on the defensive side of the ball and some stuff like that to try to address some very big needs.
Do they sign George Pickens?
Yes, 100%. He's going to get the franchise tag, I think, as a placeholder just to give them more time to get a deal done. But I do ultimately think that a multi-year extension is going to be in the future for him and the team.
Late in the year, I can't remember which game it was. It was after the Chiefs game, so I think it was after Thanksgiving, where they showed him, and I think CeeDee Lamb might have been out. They showed him not really, busting it on routes and kind of loafing around and everything. That didn't deter the Cowboys from saying, let's not maybe guarantee a whole bunch of money to this guy?
No, not at all. They kind of know what they're going to get with George Pickens, and I will give them credit in that fact. Leading into the trade, before they actually made it, they did a ton of homework on him, and they knew exactly what they were getting when they added him. So a lot of that stuff has been and will continue to be addressed internally, away from the media and away from the spotlight. And there's probably stuff that we haven't even heard of here locally that has happened, whether it's just small things or, what have you, missing meetings, or I don't know. I'm just projecting here. There might be things that we just haven't heard. They have done an incredible job of keeping everything hush with him, and I think it's for good reason. They know that he can really impact with his play on the field, and a route or two here and there kind of being given up on doesn't really scare them.
All right, finally, Anthony Davis. Is he going to get dealt before the trade deadline?
I'm going to say yes, but I know that the asking price is pretty high right now on Dallas's
What
end.
is it, Luka Doncic?
Yeah, that would be a great deal if you ask me. But no, they are prioritizing young talent in a potential AD trade package, which makes a ton of sense. But when you talk about young talent versus the piece that you're actually moving to get him, you have to make the salaries match. So you start looking at some veteran players on, let's say, like the Atlanta Hawks. They don't want to give up the New Orleans first-round pick, on top of the fact that Shea has been a name that has been thrown around a lot. Do they want to move him? Do they not? And then to make salaries match, you have to start looking at names like even Trae Young, throwing him into the deal, and Dallas does not want Trae Young on this team. So it's really, really complicated. You look at a team like the Lakers, or rather Golden State, where you start to make the salaries match up there, and you say Draymond Green would make a ton of sense. And Golden State has already vehemently denied any accusations or any ideas of trading Draymond Green. So it's going to take a lot of work, but I do think they ultimately do it because they really want to make this Kyrie and Cooper Flags team.
I have $3 in my wallet, and that is more than I would give for Draymond Green in a trade.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm right there with you. But again, the NBA, it's a money matching game. So
yeah, you're
a lot
right.
of the times you just put that stuff aside and you say, if we want this guy off of our team that bad, we'll point at him and say, we'll figure it out. And hey, the last guy that ran the team was saying defense wins championships. So if you want to keep that mantra going, why not?
Yeah, the good news is that Cooper Flag is the real deal. So that's at least a positive for the Mavericks. Alec Medford in Dallas, Texas. Great stuff, buddy. We appreciate it. Have yourself a fantastic week. Happy New Year to you, buddy.
Happy New Year to you. Thanks for having me, as always.
That's right. We go to Cincinnati, Ohio next. Mo Egger, ESPN 1530 in Cincinnati. Mo, how are you, buddy?
Soren, I'm good, man. What's up?
Well, not playoff football, not for Kansas City and not for Cincinnati. I know high hopes, join a lot of other cities. Baltimore's a town that thought it was going to be a playoff year. We've seen a lot of the stalwarts that were usually, used to being in the playoffs not be there. What's the reality in Cincinnati of not making the playoffs this year?
Well, it's a reality that we've been dealing with, I think, since late September, right? So it's just sort of set in. I think there's an incredible amount of distrust with the front office. I think there's an incredible amount of frustration. This is not supposed to be how the Joe Burrow era is unfolding. This is, if you would have said to most Bengals fans when, they lost to the Rams in the Super Bowl 4 years ago, hey, we'll get to the middle of the decade and the team will be coming off 3 non-playoff years, and the franchise will still be looking for its first title, I think most would have laughed at you because it felt like the future was so bright. And yet, here we are with a franchise that is, I think, very much at a crossroads. I don't expect them to make, major changes to the coaching staff. I don't expect them to make major changes to the front office. I think it's basically going to be status quo. And so you have fans who are either trying to talk themselves into or cannot talk themselves into the same people who have created this mess, 3 consecutive non-playoff seasons, somehow making things better in the second half of the decade. And I don't know many who feel like that's a winning proposition. I think the good news is you have an offensive side of the ball that you pretty much don't need to touch. I mean, it's interesting. This is the first time, I think, in 9 years where the starting offensive line you look at it and go, we want all 5 of those dudes to come back next year. It's been close to a decade. You add that to the weaponry they have, obviously Joe Burrow. On one hand, Duke Tobin, the de facto general manager, is in a pretty enviable spot where he can pretty much leave half of his team well enough alone, and they're going to be okay. The problem is they were so abysmal on defense last season, and they couldn't fix it. They haven't been able to fix it in a while. The draft record, as it relates to players being able to step in and help out immediately, is very, very spotty. And they were so bad defensively that I think there's a sense that even if they have a good offseason, it's going to take more than one offseason for them to fix all of the issues they had on that side of the football. And if that's the case, then 2026, we're probably not going to be talking about the Bengals being championship contenders either.
So where do they sit as far as the head coach? I think there are a lot of things outside of his control, but a lot of times it ends up being like, it doesn't matter, the top guy's got to go. Where do they sit with how the team reacts to his voice and what his future is?
Well, Zach Taylor is going to be the head coach next season for one simple reason. He's under contract for 2 more years. They're simply not going to pay a head coach to not coach. If I'm wrong about that, I'll be stunned. But I think all of us at this point would be shocked if they moved on from Zach. And I think the main reason why they won't is he's under contract for a couple of more seasons. I'll say this. I think for the most part, the one thing you've always been able to say about Zach is the team has his back. The team will play for him. Effort has rarely been an issue. But, Jamar Chase was asked after the game yesterday about confidence in the coaching staff, and he said, well, I've got confidence in myself. I think if some of the most important guys on the team or the most important guy on the team in Joe Burrow made it known, I want to play for a new head coach, I think that would be interesting to see what ownership would do. But I think for the most part, and I'm sure there are exceptions, I think for the most part, among the team, among the players, they want Zach to come back this coming season, next season.
So,
if you ask fans, they would be in total disagreement.
Yeah, okay. All right, and that's an important. There are times where it's like, okay, great, I always say, if not him, then who, until your fan base screams anyone. And when they scream anyone, then you pretty much have to make a move because they're pretty much saying, okay, we're out on this. You mentioned Joe Burrow in the equation, and we'll see where he lands. But what a couple of weeks ago we had what sounded like an Andrew Luck type of reflection out of Joe Burrow about doing this and the pain and what you have to go through. And if you're not having fun, where does it sit on him? And some people thought that was either one, he's getting ready to walk away, or, if it's not Andrew Luck, the mindset that it was a Carson Palmer and force your way out. Where do you think Joe Burrow's head sits right now?
That's a great question because I think anybody who pretends to know what is going on in Joe Burrow's head is running a fool's errand. The psychoanalysis of Joe Burrow has become a cottage industry here, and I'm not sure any of us are qualified to do it. All I'll do is put myself in his shoes. And if I'm Joe Burrow, I play a position where I am judged, not entirely, but in large part by how much do I win? How many individual accolades do I get? But do I lead to team success? And he's not going to get a chance to be in the postseason for a third consecutive year. And I'm sure he looks at some of these dudes who are in the playoffs again and goes, I'm better than them, and he keeps being denied opportunities to play in the postseason through no real fault of his own. And so I would have to imagine that anybody in his shoes just turned 29 years old. He has acknowledged that he has started to think about his football mortality because of all the injuries. He's taken a pretty good hard assessment of the last 6 years, the highs, and there have been some, and the lows, and the injuries, and the non-winning seasons. And I'm sure to a degree he's taking some inventory on where he is in his career, how close the Bengals are to winning. And maybe not so much is this a relationship that I want to continue, but he's got 4 more years left on his contract. What I would tell people is, as the kids say, F around and find out, right? Mm-hmm. Go through another non-winning season. Go through another season where Joe Burrow has to lay on the surgeon's table. Go through another season where he puts up big numbers plays his heart out, and they still lose. Go through another season like that, and then see where we are with a quarterback who will be 30, who will then have 3 more years left on his deal. Like, if the losing continues, any quarterback, any player of his stature would start to wonder, am I better off elsewhere? Now, that might not mean that he forces a trade. That might not mean that he, decides to go into retirement. But I would guarantee you that well before his contract is up at the end of the decade, the Bengals will come to him and say, we'd like to extend this relationship. What's Joe Burrow going to say? If the losing continues, my guess is he says no thanks. If the losing continues beyond that, there's a long line of players who have either tried to force their way out, have requested their way out, or simply just said, I'm done, and they walk away. Why would Joe Burrow be any different? So, unfortunately, a lot of this is just what comes with the territory when you lose. It's what comes with the territory when you have a franchise that has a history of players deciding, I don't want to be here anymore. And so I don't know that we're on Joe Burrow watch as it relates to retirement or him forcing a trade this offseason. But if the non-winning seasons continue, could I see us getting there? 100%.
Okay. The stoppage of the game to recognize Myles Garrett's sack record, that seemed to be a problem for Jamar Chase. Is he alone in that? Is this just a Bengals-Browns thing? Or does the rest of the world understand that when major records fall that the league always seems to stop the game?
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of what I thought. We talked about it yesterday morning. If he does break the sack record, they're probably going to pause the game. I think that's always been something they do. I think it was sour grapes at the end of what has been a very, very sour season. I joked about it on social media. Those two teams yesterday looked like they were trying to get the game over with as quickly as possible, and so anything that got in the way of that, maybe was viewed as a negative, but I think it was just sour grapes. I don't know that anybody should have any real issue with them stopping the game, because I think that has been, in my recollection, that has been pretty much standard protocol. When someone makes or achieves a milestone or breaks a record, there's usually a pause in the action. So I was at the game yesterday. Nobody that I was near had any issue with them pausing the game. It wasn't a long, drawn-out thing. They just took a moment to recognize something that had happened that was significant. I don't know why anybody would have any issue with that.
Yeah, I don't get it either. All right, the transfer portal's open, and one of the biggest prizes was Cincinnati quarterback Brendan Sorsby. Okay, so you lose him, that's fine, but losing him in conference to Texas Tech, what's the reaction from Bearcat fans?
Kind of just shrug your shoulders, right? This is just how it works, It's unfortunate that you bring a guy in like Brendan, and Scott Satterfield talked about this leading up to Cincinnati's bowl game against Navy. You don't blame the guy, you don't blame the player who's pursuing an opportunity that he wouldn't have here, but you put a lot of time, effort, and energy into him, and you watch him go compete for a rival, but he's not breaking any rules. The rules say that you can do this, so Texas Tech is going to get a good quarterback who I thought toward the end of the season struggled against some of the better teams they played. And so I'm really going to be interested to see how it works for him out there, because, we talked about this when it looked like he was going to leave. You could do better than Brendan Sorsby, but you could also do a lot worse. And I think here there's a fear that whatever's behind door number 2 is going to be worse.
Mo Egger in Cincinnati. Great stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate it. Have yourself a fantastic week.
Okay, Soren, thanks.
All right, the Nick and Jake's end of the hour answer. Stop screaming at me, whoever you are. How many sub 500
this
teams?
This isn't off your library of music.
That's Jack White, K.
Okay, well, Jack White can scream me. He's okay. He's okay.
No, we'll let Jack know. He'll be so relieved.
Well, he will, because he was sitting around like, God, I hope K-Dog
Kurtis
likes
Seaboldt just gave his approval. Oh, God. I'm there.
I've arrived.
The
Finally
Seaboldt approval,
arrived.
and
Yep.
then Cleveland, Ohio, and
Yeah,
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, back to back.
I'm like the semifinals.
Yeah.
How many sub 500 teams have made the NFL playoffs?
Lots, tons.
I
tons.
gave
dozens upon dozens upon
possibility of 2 answers.
Oh, you did?
Because
I think it's like 5, isn't it?
It's 5 in a full season. The 2 made it in the strike
you gave
year.
the Scabberinis.
No, the 82, the strike year. When they only played 9 games, 2 teams made it. But I told him I told Kyle, I said, I'll either take 5 or 7. The 2 that happened in 1982, the Cleveland Browns and Detroit Lions are both 4 and 5. Since then, there have been 5. The Seahawks in 2010, 7 and 9. The Panthers in 14, 7, 8 and 1. Washington football team in 2020 was 7 and 9. Bucks in 22 were 8 and 9. And the Panthers this year, 8 and 9. So the Panthers have done it twice in the last 12 seasons.
Well, that's how that NFC South rolls.
Yeah, it is wild that three of the last 4 times it's been the team from that division.
Yeah. I had somebody talking about. By the way, you're going to hear in a second from Andy Reid, but people talking about the divisional thing. We need to just go 1 to 16 in the count. Why? Who got screwed? What team?
Here's
you
what
think
I
is great.
Here's my idea. I think they should use the current format setup to pick the 7 teams and
just seed them
assess
1
the
to
1
7?
seed, and then once he gets the bye, but once they're in, then you resequence them by record, because I get that the NFL wants to reward a team for winning the division. To me, you're 8 and 9 and you've gotten the playoffs. You've gotten your reward. That's your reward. Why should the 49ers or the Rams, who were 12 and 5 this year, won 12 games, playing in a division which 2 other teams won 12 games, including the 1 seed? Why should they have to go on the road to face?
And where do you sit on college football in the conference champions? You're okay then with the SEC being ranked 1 through 5?
No, I don't think.
Or SEC and Big Ten being 1 through 8.
I don't see.
Everybody else is down there because that's what you get. Like because it's conference. What do you mean you don't see the comparison? Conference championships,
but in college compared to division championships and wild cards in football, I don't see the connection.
As far as seeding goes in the playoffs, it's the exact same thing.
I don't think it's the exact same thing.
Sure it is. I'm just curious if you're the same way that okay, these 5 champions get in, but they should be seeded, or because before, like when last year you were frustrated when they changed the system right away, and you're like, well, are we rewarding the conference champion or not?
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
You just bitch to bitch.
No, but this has
Let's
been
be clear.
This particularly has been a bee
My
in my
God,
bonnet
the path
for a while.
that's been worn into Lebo's office, and you going down there.
How did this time?
So there's a path.
How didn't do this?
There's a path, but it's a size 9, not a size 13. Size 9 triple E. Not a 13.
That's
10.
1140.
1140? Okay.
Well, because I think ASICS, the cheap bastard,
that's
started
right.
making the shoes smaller to save $1, so I went from a 10.5 to an 11.
I bought it the wide shoe this time. I actually found my friend. It's like it's very comfortable. I like it. Should have done it years ago. But yeah, I think a team. I mean, to me, you're getting rewarded enough by winning your division. Shouldn't necessarily be the home team. The Rams at 4 games. By the way, each of the last 2 times it's happened in this 17-game season, both times the 8-9 team is hosted a 12-5.
But why should you be rewarded for not winning your division?
Because you shouldn't be punished for playing in a better division. The 49ers would have had to have won 14 games to win the division. The Panthers had to win 8.
I don't want to hear it.
It's a small.
I don't want to hear it.
It's a small gripe. But
I like the division champions being rewarded.
They are being rewarded. They're in the postseason.
All right, and I like them being really rewarded.
I don't like it being rewarded that
Extra
much.
rewards.
Yeah, if you're 8 and 9, if you're an 8 and 9 team and you're in the postseason, and your gripe is you weren't rewarded enough because you didn't play at home. Sorry, cry somewhere else. I'm not here to hear it.
Okay.
Now the problem would be if say the team's not 8 and 9, say the team's 11 and 5. And the wild card team's 12 and 5, or 11 and 6 and 12 and 5. Is that a big enough gap to say that the team shouldn't? That's the hole in my idea. That's the one thing. If I was to push back on what I just said, it'd be okay. Is 8 and 9? What if the fourth seed is 10 and 7 or 11 and 6? Should they have to play on the road against the 12 and 5 team?
For me,
maybe not.
As we know, leagues only get bigger.
Right.
I think it's going to be hard, just like it was really hard for them to come off 64. They stayed on 64 teams in the NCAA tournament for a while. So 32 is going to be a hard number for them to budge off of. But they will.
Yeah.
They will one day budge off of it.
Sure.
And when they do, then I think it'll be a quick race to 40. And I think if you had 4 divisions of 5, then this takes care of it. This phenomenon has increased. When we had 3 divisions of 5 and 30 teams, it didn't happen as much.
No. And now the 17th game makes it more likely because an 8 and 8 team can go one way or the other, and if they lose the game, they're 8 and 9. Or they have 500 team through 17 weeks. So that certainly changes things.
Yeah, I think for me, I think just everybody the hand wringing, whining about it.
By the way, the previous 8 and 9 team to win at the Bucks got lost by 17 in the first round, and this 8 and 9 team is a 10.5 point dog at home. So I assume the Rams are going to crap in their air on this.
And I think that's why I'm like, am I going to have to take the Panthers because the whole world is going to be on the Rams? Yes. Not only are the Rams the better team, they play with revenge.
Yes. And they've got the second best point differential. The Panthers are almost minus 70.
I'm just glad we quit the program picks 2 weeks ago. I mean, that was the best decision ever. That Friday exercise was we went through it, but we're not counting that, right?
I haven't seen. I know I did.
When you're on vacation, those picks don't count, do they?
No, it depends on how I did.
Maybe I should take some more vacation. I'll start getting some more right.
Yeah. Well, trust me. I think I went 0-5.
I don't know what I did. It wasn't great.
It was bad. And I had about 3 that I had 1 that I'm like, and 2 that there is nothing to say for yourself. Well, that was an awful pick.
I said to them that day,
and a couple that it's like, well, if McCaffrey can catch the ball at the goal line, we're 10-10, and my Niners picking, so that's not so bad. But the Chargers,
right.
Oh, Trey Lance. Jim Harbaugh's going to scheme it up. They'll hang around. They'll give Denver a fight. No.
Not even close. Not even close.
913-3810810. Keith, what's a part of this conversation? You're in the program, Keith. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, guys. Appreciate the show today.
Thank you, sir.
Got a comment on the Chiefs, and this is somebody that I'm from the Wichita area, grew up South Central Kansas, spent a lot of time in Oklahoma and Texas with my family, but I've always appreciated Kansas City as a metro area and traveled to it quite a bit. I got kids that live both in Johnson County and downtown.
Listen, no offense, but I'm going to run short on time, Keith, if you're going to give me your entire resume. So just where.
Well, I'm just saying. There's 3 numbers that are important. So I don't think people have talked about that I haven't heard. I do a lot of traveling.
Okay.
I don't get to hear as much as I want. The first number is 4. The second number is 14. And the third number is 25. Number 4 is there's 4 siblings, Clark Hunt and his 3 siblings, and they are they own the team, obviously, okay, and collectively they have 14 children. So this whole thing is about succession planning, and in 10 to 15 years they're going to have to sell this thing because there's no way. But right now nobody can buy anybody out. Nobody can afford to buy the other siblings out. And when they start dying off and they get the 14 grandchildren their cousins come into play, people are going to want to cash out. So they've got to position the team.
Your call appears to be, just if I could, Mike, I'm sorry, Keith, it appears to be about 9 years early.
I think what was key when Clark said, make the decision now or not push it on the kids 20 years from now.
Yes.
And the best way to improve the value of the team is to do what they're going to do. Now, is it going to work? Who knows? We're going to find out for the first time if this whole sales tax is a team worth the money. For the first time, we're going to find out because there's going to be no way to hide the money because you can't do left pocket, right pocket, back pocket. It's either going to work or it's not. And the way the funding is going to set up, you can't subsidize it like you normally do. So it's either going to work or it's not. We're going to, for the first time, get a readout of are these teams worth it or not? Are these stadiums worth it or not? I hope so. Don't know.
I think it's an interesting way to look at it. I'm just curious. I don't know if I should even ask this, but what did 25 have to do with this?
Okay, so there's been reporting about the Hunt family's worth $25 billion. H.L. Hunt, Lamar's
I feel like you've listened to like an old podcast and you're running back what we like everything you've said so far. We've talked about. I've talked about the ownership, how it works, and being that if one of the family wants to sell, Clark has to buy them. That they've been grandfathered in. I mean, we've covered all this ground a couple of times. I don't know why today it seems pertinent. But yes, that's why the Bolin family ended up selling the Broncos. Yes, it is something that the Chiefs will have to deal with whenever it is that one of the Hunt siblings decides that they want to sell. trying to get as many calls in here as we can here. Let's talk to Tommy Moe. You're in the program, Tommy Moe. What do you got for us?
I got for you. I'm glad I embraced the tank. Although maybe, Soren, it was a mini tank. Would you classify the Chiefs kind of mini tanking the last month of the season?
No, I wouldn't even go a month. I'd say the actual efforts were about 2 weeks. I mean, they were playing vets and everything 3 weeks ago, but the injury report blew up for the last two.
I agree. And the tank, I appreciate. I hate talking draft personnel, but I will talk draft picks.
Oh,
the number of picks.
Okay.
And if we got the number 10 pick, we got the number 40th pick.
Number 9.
Somehow, excuse me?
We have number
9th
9.
And
Number
40,
9.
Excuse me, 9th and 40th.
Number 9?
If somehow we can get any kind of value from McDuffie, it's not going to be the Sauce Gardner. I think, come on, everybody, we're not getting two number ones for a highly sought-after slot corner. But the 49ers and the Rams, they picked late in the first round, somewhere in the mid to late 20s. If we could get a number like that for McDuffie, and maybe that's it, then 3 players in the top 40, Soren, I think that is enough to build this team to get them back to relevance next year, an 11 or 12 win team immediately next year. It's got to be 3 quality picks, much like the 22 draft we classify as maybe the best. We're going to have to kind of do that a little bit better.
I'm with you.
The number's going to be better.
Yeah, I almost, and I'm going to let you go, Tommy, because I'm running short here on time. But if you could get more total value by getting more picks later, I'm almost down for that. I'd want 1 pick. Especially I think it'd be great if there's a team that's up there in the top 10 that wants him, and you take their second and then get a 4th and a 6th. Get more quantities to throw in those later rounds, because I think the Chiefs, when they have those quantities, do a pretty good job down there. I think you want a top 50 pick, if at all possible. But if they came back and said, listen, we've got 3/3, 2/4, and 2/6, I'd be like, oh, you're imitating the Rams. That I wouldn't hate that either.
No.
But, yeah, I think the value is going to be in that kind of late first-ish or to a group of picks that adds up to a late first round.
All right, before the Rams, how many teams have been a double-digit favorite on the road in the playoffs?
Finishing strong here in the fourth quarter, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers last night, expecting Kurtis to miss a field goal to get us home here before it's all said and done.
Boy, that was something.
Playing the role of, what's the kid's name, Loop or something? Luke?
Loop. Loop. Loop.
He looped it all right.
Threw him for a loop.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
How about that? So there you go. Let's get you what you need to know. We're going to hear from Matt Quatrero and Andy Reid. Still to come, Trent Green breaking down the Chiefs as they head into the offseason. We'll talk to former Pro Bowl quarterback Trent Green here in a second. First, want to let you know what you need to know. One of them is, if you're out and about, make sure you got it on 810. We got a great lineup of play-by-play, one of our biggest weeks of the year, I should say, as we've got KU and TCU starting it off on Tuesday, Thursday. Fiesta Bowl semifinal, Miami and Ole Miss. Friday, Peach Bowl semifinal for the playoffs, Oregon and Indiana. Then Saturday, an NFL playoff doubleheader with the Rams and Panthers, Bears and Packers, plus KU and West Virginia will be in the mix on Saturday. Sunday, NFL playoff tripleheader, Bills, Jags, Niners, Eagles, Chargers, Pats. And then Monday Night Football, playoff style, Texans and Steelers. And then K-State and, Kansas and Iowa State. Coming up on Tuesday. So, yeah, we got a week, Tuesday to Tuesday, with hoops and college football playoffs, NFL playoffs.
Place for everything is blank and great.
That's right. Todd Lebo said it nearly a week ago. Actually, I think it was like 20 years ago. I don't know how old that bite is. All right, let's hear from the aforementioned Matt Quatrero. Let's start with his press conference today, where they, unveiled. The announcement was made, but then he got a contract extension. Annie Rogers, who you hear on New Day with SSJ, covers the Kansas City Royals for MLB.com. She asked Matt Quatrero what he's learned over the last 3 years.
Until you're in the decisive seat and working day in and day out with JJ and Scott, I don't know what I didn't know at the time, because that's a while ago, and I think things were a blur, especially in that first year. But I think the biggest thing is understanding the scope of the job and understanding how many different people, when you think you have the connections down that you need in the organization, there's something else you need to do. There's someone else you need to talk to. There's somebody else you have to consider their opinion. And I think that's probably the thing that I've grown the most in, is understanding when you think you have an answer, look somewhere else. When you think you have a decision finalized, look somewhere else and get somebody else's opinion before you need to do it. And it takes legwork, it takes time, but it's extremely rewarding. And I think that's how you keep people engaged and feeling valued in what they do.
I mean, you understand why that guy's successful.
Hell yeah. And it was one of the things that JJ pointed out in his opening statement about what makes him good, is that he gets he's always asking questions. He's not afraid to ask a question.
Andy Reid had a press conference this afternoon to wrap up the year. He was asked hypothetically, if Matt Nagy isn't back as the offensive coordinator, would the Chiefs look outside, or would it be someone Andy's familiar with?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't get into that right now, Sam, but that's, again, these are logical questions. I've got great guys on the staff here. Joe Blame. I mean, you name some of the guys. I mean, you can go down the list, but we've got some qualified guys here. I know qualified guys out there too. So that I've got trust in both places. So, but I haven't got that far. Neither has Nags. So we'll just see where all this goes, and we got a lot of time on that. They can't even interview him in person until the 19th. So it's I'm not rushing here.
All right, then the subject of maybe changing the offense from listening to the Zoom. Doesn't sound like the Chiefs are headed for a big makeover on offense. Sam McDowell asked Andy what the team is thinking.
I would tell you, if you're doing a wholesale change, I'd probably tell you that the offseason is better than during the season. But if you're just trying to better yourself, you should be doing that throughout.
Do you consider you guys right now, as you look at the big picture, more of the latter, more just of the just trying to get better?
Yeah, I think so. I think putting people in the right position and making sure we stay relatively healthy there, I think, is important. And then don't take things away from yourself. And so whether it's a play call that you give a guy Can you put him in a better position? Or second, are you taking something away from yourself with a turnover or penalty? I mean, it's all of us looking at that. But, you're still looking at an offense that was one of the top 10 offenses in the league, if you take everything into consideration there. So you're not that far off. You got to get a couple things bouncing your way and make sure you take care of that.
Don't like that.
Did not sound like the kind of changes that I think most of us would think need to come, but we will see what they end up doing. We'll talk about the offense and more with Trent Green next here in the program.